The phone buzzed against the silk sheets of violent, insistent tremor that should have shattered the moment. Should have. But Alpha King Theo didn't even glance at it. His fingers were tangled in hair that wasn't hers, his mouth pressed against lips that tasted of champagne and ambition instead of honey and home. The woman beneath him, Kara, beautiful and calculating, smiled against his kiss. "Ignore it," she purred, her perfectly manicured nails trailing down his chest. "You're always so distracted lately." The phone buzzed again. And again. 3 times in rapid succession, the emergency pattern that meant something was wrong. Desperately wrong. Theo felt it, then a cold finger of dread sliding down his spine, his wolf suddenly restless, clawing at the edges of his consciousness with panicked whines. But he pushed it down, drowned it in the scent of expensive perfume and the taste of someone who wasn't supposed to matter this much. Someone who wasn't his mate. "Just turn it off," Kara whispered, and, like a fool, he reached over and silenced it without looking at the screen. He never saw the name that flashed there, Lily, mate. He never heard the voicemail notification that followed, the digital ghost of a voice that would haunt him for the rest of his life. Hey there, beautiful souls. Welcome back to the channel, or if you're new here, welcome to a story that's about to wreck you in the best way possible. I'm so glad you're here with me today. Before we dive into this emotional journey, do me a quick favor. Drop a comment below and let me know where you're watching from. Are you Team Redemption or Team Consequence? And if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button because trust me, you're going to want to see how this unfolds. This story, it's going to stay with you long after the last word. Now, let's get into it. The mistake wasn't just the kiss. It wasn't even the woman. The mistake was the 3 years of taking her for granted. 3 years of treating the bond like a burden instead of a blessing. 3 years of ignoring the way Lily's smile had dimmed, the way her hand had stopped reaching for his across the dinner table, the way she'd started to fade like a photograph left too long in the sun. But Theo didn't think about that as he finally pulled away from Kara, his wolf suddenly howling with an urgency he couldn't explain. He grabbed his phone with trembling fingers, seeing the missed calls, the voicemail notification, the text messages that had stopped coming months ago, but had started again tonight, desperate, frantic. "Lily, Theo, please. I need you. Lily, something's wrong. I can feel it. The bond. Lily, they're here. God, they're here. Why aren't you answering? Lily, I love you. I'm sorry I wasn't enough. Tell our people I tried." His heart stopped. Completely stopped. "Theo?" Kara's voice was distant, annoyed. "What's wrong?" But he was already moving, already shifting, clothes tearing as his wolf took over in a desperate burst of primal terror. He crashed through the window of his private chambers, glass glittering like stars as he fell, landing on all fours in the courtyard below. The bond, their sacred, unbreakable bond, was silent. Not strained. Not distant. Silent. Like a severed rope swinging in the wind, frayed edges bleeding into nothing. He ran. Faster than he'd ever run in his life, his massive black wolf form eating up the miles between the palace and the small cottage on the edge of the kingdom where Lily had moved 6 months ago. Where he'd let her go without a fight because it was easier. Because she'd stopped demanding his attention, stopped crying when he came home smelling like other women, stopped fighting for a marriage he'd already abandoned. The cottage came into view, and his wolf skidded to a halt. The door hung open, swinging gently in the night breeze. The scent of blood, her blood, painted the air in thick, choking strokes. And beneath it, something else. Something ancient and wrong, a smell like rot and dark magic that made his wolf's hackles rise. He shifted back to human form, naked and shaking, as he stepped through the doorway. The living room was destroyed. Furniture overturned, claw marks gouging deep into the wooden walls. Her favorite mug, the one with the moon phases painted around the rim, lay shattered on the floor, tea still pooling in the cracks between the boards. And there, on the wall above the fireplace, written in what looked like ash and blood, "The moon goddess demands payment for broken vows." Theo's legs gave out. He collapsed to his knees in the wreckage of her life, his hands finding her scarf soft, lavender-scented crumpled beneath the overturned couch. He brought it to his face and screamed, a sound of pure anguish that shook the foundations of the cottage and sent birds fleeing from the surrounding trees. His beta, Liam, crashed through the door moments later, followed by his gamma, Ethan, and a dozen palace guards. They stopped short at the sight of their king, the most powerful alpha in 5 territories, broken and sobbing on the floor of his mate's abandoned home. "Find her," Theo choked out, his voice raw and shattered. "Find her now. Search every inch of this kingdom. Use every tracker, every witch, every—" "Your Majesty," Liam interrupted gently, crouching beside him. His face was pale, his usual composure cracked. "We've been trying to reach you for hours. Lily," she sent out a distress signal through the pack bond. "But by the time we traced it—" "How long?" Theo roared, his alpha command rolling out like thunder, forcing every wolf in the room to their knees. "How long was I unreachable?" Liam's jaw clenched. "For hours, my king. She first called for help 4 hours ago. 4 hours. He'd been with Kara for 4 hours, ignoring his phone, ignoring his mate, ignoring the desperate pull of a bond he'd taken for granted since the moment the moon goddess had blessed them with it. Theo forced himself to stand, forced himself to think past the grief threatening to drown him. "What else? What aren't you telling me?" Ethan stepped forward, his expression grave. He held out a tablet, security footage pulled from the cottage's exterior camera. "You need to see this." The video showed Lily arriving home around sunset, looking tired but beautiful in the simple dress she'd worn to her teaching job at the pack school. She paused at her doorstep, hand on her stomach in a gesture that was almost protective, almost. Theo's breath caught. "No. No." Then the footage flickered, distorted by what looked like magical interference. When it cleared, 3 figures emerged from the tree line cloaked, moving with unnatural speed. Lily had tried to run, had shifted into her wolf form, a beautiful silver wolf that glowed like moonlight, but they'd been faster. Stronger. Magic crackled around them like black lightning as they dragged her, struggling and fighting, toward the forest. The last clear image showed her turning back toward the cottage, toward the camera, her wolf's eyes wide with terror and something else. Sorrow. Resignation. Like she'd known he wouldn't come. Like she'd already accepted she was going to die alone. The video ended with a flash of dark light, and then nothing. Just an empty yard and an open door swinging in the wind. "We found traces of dark magic," Liam said quietly. "Old magic. The kind that was banned centuries ago during the Witch Wars. And there's something else." He hesitated, his eyes flicking to Theo's face with obvious reluctance. "The healers went through her cottage. They found medications. Prenatal vitamins. A positive pregnancy test hidden in her bathroom drawer, dated 3 weeks ago." The world tilted sideways. Pregnant. Lily had been pregnant. Carrying his heir, his child, the future of his bloodline, and she'd been trying to tell him. All those calls he'd ignored, all those messages he'd deleted without reading because he'd been too busy, too distracted, too in love with his own arrogance to see what he was losing. "The voicemail," Theo whispered. "Play the voicemail." Liam's hand shook as he pulled out Theo's phone and pressed play. Lily's voice filled the cottage, trembling, terrified, but still holding that thread of love that had defined their entire relationship. The love he'd never deserved. "Theo, please, please pick up. I know you're angry with me. I know I'm not what you wanted. But they're coming. I can feel them getting closer. There's a darkness, oh God." A crash in the background, the sound of breaking glass. "I should have told you sooner. About the baby. Our baby. I was scared you wouldn't want that, you'd think I was trying to trap you. But I love you. Even after everything, I still love you so much it hurts." Her breath hitched, a sob catching in her throat. "If you're listening to this, if something happens to me, please know that I forgive you. For all of it. The other women, the distance, the way you looked at me like I was a duty instead of a gift. The moon goddess chose us for a reason, even if you never saw it. More sounds shouting, snarling, the crack of magic hitting wood. They're in the house. Theo, they want the baby. They keep saying something about a prophecy, about the child of the Alpha King being the key to. A scream, high and desperate. Then Lily's voice again, barely a whisper. I love you. Tell our people I'm sorry I couldn't be stronger. And Theo, when you find someone who makes you happy, someone worthy of you, don't make the same mistakes. Don't let her fade. The line went dead. Silence crashed down like a physical weight. Every wolf in the cottage stood frozen, staring at their king as he slowly, deliberately crushed the phone in his hand, plastic and metal crumpling like paper. Find out who did this, Theo said, his voice eerily calm, empty of emotion. The kind of calm that came before apocalyptic rage. Find out why. Find out where they took her. And find out how to bring her back. Your Majesty, Ethan said carefully, the scent trail ends at the forest border. It's like she vanished into thin air. And the magic signature, it's unlike anything we've encountered before. This wasn't random. This was planned, precise. Someone wanted your mate specifically. Theo turned to face his Gamma, and Ethan actually stepped back at the expression on his king's face. It wasn't anger. It was something far more terrifying. It was guilt. Raw, bleeding, all-consuming guilt that was already hardening into a promise of violence. Then we start with the covens, Theo said. Every witch in this kingdom gets questioned. Every magical artifact gets traced. I want our best hunters on this, our most skilled trackers. Every favor Werewolf called in. He looked down at Lily's scarf still clutched in his fist. I don't care if I have to burn this kingdom to the ground. I will find her. I will bring her home. And I will spend the rest of my life making up for this moment. And if... Liam trailed off, unable to finish the question. She's alive, Theo said fiercely, pressing his hand to his chest where the bond lay dormant. I'd feel it if she was gone. The bond would break completely. This is different. It's like she's been put to sleep. Suspended somehow. He had to believe that. Had to cling to it like a drowning man clings to driftwood. She's alive, and I'm going to find her. But as he stood there in the ruins of her home, surrounded by the evidence of his failures, one truth crystallized with brutal clarity. He'd ignored her when she needed him most. He'd chosen another woman meaningless, temporary over the one person the universe itself had chosen for him. And now Lily was gone, carrying his child, trapped by enemies he didn't understand, in danger he might already be too late to stop. The Alpha King, who had never lost a battle, who had never known defeat, had just lost the only thing that truly mattered. And the kingdom itself seemed to know it. As if in response to his anguish, a cold wind swept through the cottage, extinguishing every light. In the darkness, Theo could have sworn he heard it. A woman's voice, ancient and terrible, whispering judgment. A king who forsakes his queen forsakes his crown. The blood price will be paid in suffering, measured in every moment she called and you did not answer. Every tear she cried while you held another. Find her, Alpha King, before the darkness claims what is yours by divine right. But know this, redemption is not freely given. It must be earned in fire and sacrifice. The voice faded, leaving only the sound of Theo's ragged breathing and the distant howl of wolves mourning their missing Luna. The hunt had begun. But the question that would haunt him through every sleepless night, every desperate search, every dead end, was simple and damning. Would he find her in time? Or would his greatest mistake become his eternal punishment? That's where we're starting, beautiful people. I know your heart is probably already racing. But trust me, this is just the beginning. Comment below. Do you think Theo deserves a chance at redemption? What do you think happened to Lily? And please, if you're feeling this story already, hit that subscribe button because this journey is going to take us to some dark, emotional, and ultimately beautiful places. I'll see you in the next part, if you're brave enough to continue. The palace war room had never felt so suffocating. Theo stood at the head of the massive oak table, maps of the kingdom spread before him like accusations. Red pins marked every location they'd searched. Black pins marked dead ends. There were far too many black pins. It had been 48 hours since Lily vanished. 48 hours of no sleep, no food, nothing but the relentless drive to find her that was slowly eating him alive from the inside out. The Northern Covens claim ignorance, Liam reported, his face drawn with exhaustion. He'd been running the search operations without rest, coordinating hundreds of wolves across 5 territories. But Elder Mara said something strange before we left. She said, "The moon goddess works in patterns, Alpha King. What was broken must be mended before what was stolen can be returned." Theo's fist slammed into the table, cracking the ancient wood. Riddles. I don't need riddles. I need answers. Perhaps the riddles are the answers, a soft voice said from the doorway. Every head turned to see Hannah, Lily's best friend and the pack's head healer, standing in the entrance. Her eyes were red-rimmed from crying, but her jaw was set with determination. Behind her stood Lily's younger sister, Maya, who looked like she wanted to rip Theo's throat out with her bare hands. "You have no right to be here," Maya spat, her wolf flashing gold in her eyes. "You lost that right when you—" "Maya," Hannah interrupted gently, placing a hand on the younger woman's arm. "We're here for Lily, remember? Not for revenge. Not yet, anyway." She turned her gaze to Theo, and the disappointment there cut deeper than any blade. "Your Majesty, may we speak?" Theo wanted to refuse. Wanted to avoid the judgment he saw in their faces, the reminder of what he'd lost, what he'd thrown away. But these women had known Lily better than anyone. If there was information that could help. "Clear the room," he ordered. His counsel filed out silently, though Liam lingered by the door. "Your Majesty, I don't think." "I said clear the room, Beta." Theo's voice was hollow. "I can handle 2 grieving women. Can you?" Maya challenged once they were alone. "Because you couldn't handle one. You couldn't handle the woman who loved you more than her own life, who would have died for you and apparently did." "She's not dead," Theo growled, his alpha power rippling through the air. Maya didn't even flinch. "You don't know that. The bond is silent. She's been gone 2 days. And every second you waste drowning in guilt is a second she's suffering somewhere, if she's even still alive." "Maya, stop," Hannah said firmly. She approached the table, pulling a worn leather journal from her bag. "We found this in Lily's cottage, hidden beneath a floorboard in her bedroom." Theo's hands trembled as he took it. The leather was soft, well-worn, the pages filled with Lily's delicate handwriting. His heart constricted as he recognized he'd given her this journal for their first anniversary, back when he'd still tried to be the mate she deserved. "Read the marked pages," Hannah said quietly. "The ones from the last 3 months." He didn't want to. God, he didn't want to see the evidence of her pain written in her own hand. But he owed her this much. He owed her everything. The first marked entry was dated 3 months ago. "Dear Diary. I saw her again today. Kara." She was leaving his chambers when I arrived to bring him breakfast. She didn't even have the decency to look ashamed. Just smiled at me with those perfect lips and said, "The Alpha King works so hard. Someone has to help him, relax." I wanted to challenge her. Wanted to remind her that I'm his mate, chosen by the moon goddess herself. But what's the point? Theo made his choice clear. He chose her. He chooses everyone but me. Dr. Rivers confirmed it today. 6 weeks pregnant. I'm carrying the heir to the kingdom, and I can't even tell my own mate because I'm terrified he'll think I'm trying to trap him. Trying to force him to stay with the woman he so clearly doesn't want. Sometimes I wonder if the moon goddess made a mistake. If she meant to give him someone stronger, more beautiful, more worthy of being queen. Someone like Kara, who doesn't cry herself to sleep every night wondering what she did wrong. But then I feel the bond weak and strained as it is, and I remember that night 3 years ago when his eyes met mine across the ballroom. The way he'd smiled like I was his entire world. The way he'd whispered, finally, "I've been waiting for you my whole life. Where did that man go? And how do I get him back?" Theo's vision blurred. He blinked hard, forcing himself to keep reading. 2 months ago. I'm showing now. Not much, but enough that I have to wear loose clothes. Hannah knows. She's been helping me hide it, getting me the vitamins and supplements I need. She thinks I should tell him. She says he has a right to know. But I'm so scared. What if he doesn't want the baby? What if he asks me to? I can't even write it. I could never. This child is mine, ours, a piece of the love we used to have. I heard him laughing today. Really laughing, the way he used to laugh with me. I followed the sound and found him in the garden with her. With Kara. She was telling some story, her hand on his arm, and he looked at her the way I dream he'll look at me again. I left before they could see me. Before I could completely shatter. Maya wants me to reject him. To sever the bond and leave the kingdom. She says I deserve better than a mate who treats me like an obligation. But how can I leave? This is my home. These are my people. And despite everything, I still love him. I still wake up hoping today will be the day he remembers we're meant to be together. Is that pathetic? It feels pathetic. 1 month ago. I'm moving out. I can't stay in the palace anymore, can't watch him parade his affairs in front of me like I don't exist. Elder Mara helped me find a cottage on the border. It's small, quiet. The perfect place to prepare for the baby. I wrote him a letter explaining everything. About the pregnancy, about why I'm leaving, about how I'll always love him, but I can't keep breaking myself against his indifference. I left it on his desk 3 days ago. He hasn't said a word. Hasn't come to find me. Hasn't even acknowledged that I'm gone. I think that hurts worse than anything else. The confirmation that he simply doesn't care. 3 weeks ago. I felt something tonight. A darkness at the edge of my consciousness, watching, waiting. My wolf is restless, pacing, whining. She keeps trying to reach out through the bond, but Theo has it so firmly closed off that nothing gets through. I'm scared. Not for me, I stopped being scared for myself a long time ago. But for the baby. Our child deserves a father who cares. A father who shows up. What kind of life am I bringing them into? The final entry was dated the night she disappeared. They're coming. I can feel them like ice water in my veins. I've called Theo 17 times. Left messages, texts, everything. He's not answering. Of course he's not answering. Hannah says there's a prophecy. An old one, from before the kingdom was even founded. Something about a child born of true mates during a lunar eclipse, blessed by the moon goddess herself, powerful enough to tip the balance between light and dark magic. The next lunar eclipse is in 3 weeks. Our baby would be born under it. I don't know who these people are or what they want, but I know they're coming for my child. And I know I'll die before I let them have them. Theo, if you ever read this, if I don't survive tonight, please know that I forgive you. I forgive you for Kara, for the others, for the 3 years of slowly breaking my heart. I forgive you because I understand now. Sometimes the moon goddess's plans don't make sense to us. Sometimes the bond isn't enough. But this baby is everything. Protect them. Love them. Give them the life I couldn't give myself. And maybe, in another life, we'll get it right. I love you. I always have. I always will. You're Lily. The journal slipped from Theo's hands, clattering onto the table. He couldn't breathe. Couldn't think past the tsunami of self-loathing and grief threatening to drown him. She left you a letter, Hannah said, her voice thick with emotion. A month ago. Did you ever read it? Theo's mind raced back. A month ago, he'd been planning a diplomatic mission to the Eastern Territories. His desk had been covered in documents, proposals, trade agreements. There had been so many papers, so many demands on his attention. He'd swept most of them aside without reading them, letting his assistants sort through what was important. No, he whispered. God, no. I never saw it. Because you weren't looking, Maya said bitterly. You were too busy fucking Kara to notice your mate was carrying your child and moving out of the palace. Maya, Hannah started. No. Maya stepped forward, her whole body shaking with rage. He needs to hear this. Do you have any idea what the last year has been like for her? Watching you parade your mistress around like she was queen? Hearing the whispers, the pity, the gossip? Lily is the strongest woman I know, and you broke her. You took someone bright and full of life, and you dimmed her until she was barely a shadow. I know, Theo said, his voice cracking. I know. You don't know anything. Maya shouted. You don't know that she stopped eating because seeing you with Kara made her physically sick. You don't know that she cried so hard one night that Hannah had to sedate her because she was hyperventilating. You don't know that she was planning to reject the bond after the baby was born because she couldn't stand the pain anymore. Each word was a knife, precise and devastating. She loved you, Maya continued, tears streaming down her face. Despite everything you did to her, she loved you. And now she's gone because you couldn't be bothered to answer your phone. Because you were too busy betraying your mate to save her life. That's enough, Hannah said sharply, pulling Maya back. But the damage was done. Theo sank into his chair, the weight of his failures crushing him. Why are you telling me this? He asked hoarsely. Why show me the journal? To torture me? Because you need to understand what you're fighting for, Hannah said. You need to understand who Lily really is, not the quiet, obedient mate you took for granted. She pulled out a stack of photographs, spreading them across the table. This is Lily teaching the pack children. She started a literacy program 6 months ago, did you know? 20 pups who couldn't read can now devour entire books. Another photo. This is Lily at the homeless shelter in the lower districts. She volunteers there 3 times a week, serving food, organizing donations. She used her own money, the small allowance you gave her, to buy winter coats for everyone. More photos, each one a revelation. Lily laughing with elderly pack members at the retirement home. Lily organizing a fundraiser for families who'd lost their homes in last winter's fires. Lily staying up all night to help a young mother deliver twins when the pack hospital was overwhelmed. She's not just your mate, Hannah said quietly. She's the heart of this pack. While you were playing king, she was being a true queen. People love her, respect her, and they're starting to wonder why their king doesn't. Theo stared at the photographs, seeing Lily, truly seeing her for the first time in years. Not the quiet woman who'd faded into the background of his life, but the vibrant, compassionate, brilliant person she'd always been. The person he'd been too blind and selfish to notice. There's something else you need to know, Hannah said, her expression darkening. About the prophecy. And about why someone would want Lily and your child. She pulled out an ancient book, its pages yellowed with age. This is from the Royal Archives. It's been sealed for 3 centuries, but Elder Mara gave me access after Lily disappeared. Listen to this. Hannah read, in the year of twin moons, when darkness rises and the old magic stirs, a child shall be born of true mates. The Alpha King and his Luna, bound by the moon goddess herself. This child will carry the power to either restore the balance between realms or shatter it completely. They will be hunted by those who seek to control the old magic. They will be the key to either salvation or destruction. Twin moons, Theo repeated slowly. The lunar eclipse. Exactly. It only happens once every century. The next one is. Hannah checked her notes. 19 days from now. If the prophecy is true, if Lily and your baby are the ones it speaks of, then whoever took her wants to control that power, Theo finished. Or destroy it. There's more, Maya said, her anger temporarily set aside. We found evidence in Lily's cottage. Traces of a blood ritual. The kind used to track bloodlines, to identify specific magical signatures. Someone's been watching her for months, maybe longer. Waiting for her to conceive. Theo's wolf snarled, pushing against his control. Who? Who would have the knowledge, the power to do this? That's what we need you to figure out, Hannah said. Because Lily can't do this alone. And whether you deserve her or not, she needs you now. Your child needs you. I'll find them, Theo vowed, his hands curling into fists. I'll tear this kingdom apart stone by stone if I have to. I'll call in every favor, break every rule, cross every line. I'll bring her home. And when you do? Maya challenged. What then? You expect her to just forgive and forget? To welcome you back with open arms after years of humiliation and heartbreak? Theo met her eyes, his own burning with a determination that had been missing for far too long. No. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I'll spend the rest of my life earning it anyway. I'll be the mate I should have been from the beginning. The king she deserved. The father our child needs. Pretty words, Maya said coldly. Let's see if you can back them up. As if summoned by his conviction, Liam burst back into the war room, his face flushed with excitement. Your Majesty, we found something. A witness. Theo was on his feet instantly. Where? The eastern border. A rogue wolf claims he saw something the night Lily disappeared. He's terrified, won't talk to anyone but you. Take me to him. Now. As they rushed from the war room, Theo clutched Lily's journal to his chest, the weight of it a physical reminder of everything he'd lost, everything he'd taken for granted. But beneath the guilt, beneath the self-loathing, something else was growing. Something fierce and unbreakable. Hope. Because if there was a witness, there was a trail. And if there was a trail, there was a chance. A chance to find her, to save her, to finally be the mate the moon goddess had always intended him to be. He just prayed he wasn't already too late. So now you're seeing who Lily really was, who she is. Not just the Luna who was ignored, but a woman of incredible strength and compassion. And Theo? He's starting to wake up to what he lost. But is awareness enough? Can guilt and determination really lead to redemption? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear what you're thinking right now. Are you rooting for Theo yet, or does he still have a long way to go? And don't forget to subscribe because this journey is just beginning, and trust me, the twists ahead are going to leave you breathless. The rogue wolf was chained in the palace dungeons, silver burning into his wrists, his face gaunt with fear and starvation. But his eyes, amber and wild, held something else. Knowledge. Terrible, dangerous knowledge. Theo approached the cell slowly, every instinct screaming at him to rip the information from this wolf's mind by force. But Liam had warned him. The rogue was fragile, traumatized. Push too hard and they'd lose whatever he knew. My name is Alpha King Theo, he said, keeping his voice level despite the chaos raging inside him. You said you saw something. The night my mate disappeared. The rogue, a thin man who couldn't have been more than 25, laughed, the sound brittle and broken. Your mate. The Silver Luna. Yeah, I saw her. Saw what they did to her. His eyes focused on Theo with sudden, sharp clarity. But the real question is, why would I tell you? You're the reason she was alone in the first place. Theo's jaw clenched. Even strangers knew. Even rogues outside his kingdom knew what he'd done. You're right, he said quietly, and the admission clearly shocked the prisoner. I failed her. I failed my mate, my Luna, the mother of my child. And I will carry that shame for the rest of my life. But right now, she's out there somewhere, in danger, and you might be the only one who can help me find her. So please, tell me what you saw. The rogue studied him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. All right, but you're not gonna like it, Alpha King. Not one bit. He shifted in his chains, wincing as the silver bit deeper. I was hunting on your border, yeah, I know, illegal, but a rogue's gotta eat. I saw the cottage, saw her come home. Beautiful thing, glowing like moonlight. I could smell it on her. Life. New life growing. Theo's fists clenched, but he remained silent. I was about to leave when they showed up. 3 figures, moving like shadows. But they weren't wolves. Weren't quite human either. They moved wrong, you know? Like reality bent around them. The rogue's voice dropped to a whisper. They had magic. Old magic. The kind that makes your wolf whimper and hide. What did they look like? Liam demanded from behind Theo. Couldn't see faces. They wore these black cloaks that seemed to eat the light. But I heard them talking. One of them, a woman, I think, said something about the vessel being ready. Said the Alpha King had made their job easy by abandoning her. They laughed about it. Rage. Pure, incandescent rage flooded through Theo's veins. His wolf clawed to the surface, demanding blood, demanding vengeance. Then what? He growled. They went in. I heard her scream. Heard her fighting. Damn, that Luna of yours put up one hell of a fight. Took down 2 of them with magic I've never seen before. Silver light, bright as the full moon, shooting from her hands. The rogue's eyes widened with remembered awe. She was magnificent. A true warrior. Pride swelled in Theo's chest, bittersweet and painful. Lily had fought. Of course she'd fought. She'd always been stronger than he'd given her credit for. But there were too many, the rogue continued. More came from the forest. 6, maybe 7 total. They overwhelmed her, bound her with these black chains that seemed to drink in her light. And then, he swallowed hard. Then one of them placed a hand on her stomach. Your mate screamed. Not in pain, but in fear. Pure, primal fear. Did they hurt the baby? Theo's voice was barely human. I don't know. They said something about keeping the vessel intact until the eclipse. Said the child's power would be strongest then, easiest to transfer. The rogue looked up at Theo with something like pity. They're not gonna kill her, Alpha King. They're gonna use her. Use your child. For some kind of ritual. The dungeon seemed to spin. Theo gripped the bars of the cell to steady himself. Where did they take her? That's the thing. They didn't go anywhere. They opened a portal, ripped a hole right through the air. It was wrong, King. Unnatural. The edges of it burned my eyes just to look at. They dragged her through, and then it just closed. Like it had never been there. A portal, Ethan breathed. That's why we couldn't track her. She's not even in this realm anymore. What else? Theo demanded. There has to be something else. A name, a location, anything. The rogue hesitated, his face pale. There was one thing. Before they went through the portal, the woman, the leader, I think she looked right at me. Somehow knew I was watching even though I was hidden and downwind. She smiled and said, Tell the Alpha King that Kara sends her regards. Tell him the debt has come due. The world stopped. What did you just say? Theo's voice was dangerously quiet. Kara. She said Kara sends her regards. That name means something to you. Everything meant something. Everything suddenly made horrible, perfect sense. Theo spun on his heel and stormed from the dungeon, his mind racing. Liam and Ethan scrambled to follow. Your Majesty, you can't possibly think, Liam started. Where is she? Theo roared, his alpha command reverberating through the palace halls. Where is Kara? Guards scattered to search. Theo made his way to the guest wing where Kara had been staying, his mistress, his distraction, the woman he'd chosen over his mate again and again. The door to her chambers hung open. Inside, the room was empty. Not just vacant empty. No clothes, no personal effects, no trace that anyone had ever lived there at all. Just bare furniture and the lingering scent of expensive perfume and something else. Something that made Theo's wolf recoil in disgust. Dark magic. Faint but unmistakable. How long has she been gone? He demanded. A young maid stepped forward, trembling. Since the night the Luna disappeared, Your Majesty. We thought you knew. Thought you'd dismissed her. Theo's world tilted on its axis. Kara. It had been Kara all along. He'd let her into his bed, into his life, into his confidence. Had told her about his frustrations with Lily, his feeling of being trapped by a bond he hadn't wanted. Had complained about his mate to the very woman who was plotting to destroy her. Search her chambers, he ordered, his voice hollow. Every inch. I want to know everything about her. Real name, real background, every lie she told. It didn't take long. Within an hour, his intelligence officers presented their findings. The woman they'd known as Kara was actually Cassandra Blackthorn, a name that sent chills down Theo's spine. The Blackthorns were an ancient bloodline, one of the founding families of dark witches who'd been exiled during the witch wars 3 centuries ago. She was sent here, Ethan reported, laying out documents on the war table. 3 years ago. Right before you met your mate. Her entire purpose was to drive a wedge between you and the Luna. To make sure the bond was weak, strained. So when the time came, Lily would be isolated. Vulnerable. Unprotected by her mate's bond, Theo finished, nausea rolling through him. I played right into their hands. Every affair, every moment I ignored Lily, every time I chose Kara over her, I was helping them prepare for this. You couldn't have known, Liam said quietly. Couldn't I? Theo turned on his beta, his eyes blazing. The bond was warning me. My wolf was warning me. Every time I was with Kara, he fought me, tried to make me go to Lily instead. But I ignored it. I was so determined to prove that I wasn't controlled by fate, that I had a choice in who I loved, that I willingly destroyed the one thing the moon goddess gave me. He slammed his hands on the table, the wood splintering beneath his strength. I did this. I handed Lily to them on a silver platter. Your Majesty, a new voice interrupted. They all turned to see Elder Mara standing in the doorway, her ancient face grave. There's something you need to know. About the prophecy. About what Cassandra and her coven are planning. She shuffled into the room, leaning heavily on her staff. The child your mate carries isn't just powerful. They're a conduit. A bridge between the magical realm and ours. During the lunar eclipse, when the veil between worlds is thinnest, that child can be used to tear down the barriers completely. Which means? Theo asked, though he already dreaded the answer. Which means every dark creature, every malevolent spirit, every monster we've kept locked away for centuries would flood into our world. The Blackthorns don't just want power, they want chaos. They want to return to a time before the Great Banishment, when dark witches ruled and wolves were their slaves. How do we stop them? Ethan demanded. Elder Mara's expression was bleak. You can't. Not without finding the anchor point, the place where they're holding the Luna. The ritual requires a specific location, somewhere the ley lines converge, where natural magic is strongest. There are only 3 such places in existence. She waved her hand, and a map materialized in the air, glowing with ethereal light. 3 points pulsed with crimson energy. The Obsidian Mountains in the north, the Dead City in the east, and the Isle of Echoes in the west. Each one is protected by ancient wards, impossible to reach without. Without what? Theo pressed. Without the mate bond, Elder Mara said softly. The connection between true mates is the only thing strong enough to pierce those wards. If you can reach Lily through the bond, even weakened as it is, you can follow it to her location. Theo's heart sank. The bond is silent. I can't feel her at all. Because you never truly opened yourself to it, the elder said sharply. You've kept walls around your heart for 3 years, terrified of losing control, of being vulnerable. Those walls are blocking the bond. If you want to find her, you'll have to tear them down. All of them. How? Elder Mara studied him with eyes that had seen centuries pass. You must face what you've done. Not just acknowledge it, truly face it. Every moment you chose another over her. Every tear she cried. Every time she reached for you and found emptiness. You must feel it all, accept it all, and let it break you. Only then can the bond reform, stronger than before. That could take days, Liam protested. We don't have days. The eclipse is in 19 days, and if we factor in travel time to any of those locations, then the Alpha King had better work fast, Elder Mara said. Because it's the only way. The Moon Goddess doesn't grant power without pain. She doesn't allow redemption without sacrifice. She turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and Your Majesty? When you do find her, and you will, if you're strong enough, remember this. Saving her life isn't the same as earning her forgiveness. One is a duty. The other is a journey that may last the rest of your life. The elder disappeared in a swirl of silver mist, leaving Theo alone with his advisors and the crushing weight of what needed to be done. I'll need to be somewhere quiet, he said finally. Somewhere I can focus without interruption. The old temple in the palace gardens, prepare it. No one disturbs me, no matter what they hear. Understood. Your Majesty, are you sure? Liam's face was creased with worry. This kind of emotional journey, it's dangerous. It could break your mind. It should break my mind, Theo said coldly. After what I've done, after what I've put her through, a little madness is the least I deserve. He started toward the door, then stopped. Liam, Ethan, I need you to do something while I'm working on the bond. Research the 3 locations. Find out everything you can about the wards, about how to break them. And mobilize our best warriors. The moment I find her, we move. No hesitation. No delays. We'll be ready, Ethan promised. As Theo walked through the palace toward the gardens, he passed servants who whispered and stared. Past courtiers who'd once celebrated his affairs, who'd encouraged his rejection of the weak mate bond in favor of true love with Kara. He'd been a fool. Worse than a fool, he'd been willing. The old temple was exactly as he remembered. A circular stone structure, open to the sky, with a pool of crystal-clear water at its center. The moon goddess's shrine. A place he hadn't visited since the night he'd been bonded to Lily, 3 years ago. He sat cross-legged before the pool, staring at his reflection. He looked haggard, haunted. Good. He should look like the broken man he was. "I don't know if you can hear me," he said aloud, addressing the moon goddess herself. "I don't know if I have any right to ask for your help after spitting on the gift you gave me. But I'm asking anyway. Not for me, for her. For Lily. She's innocent in this. She loved me the way you intended, completely and without reservation. And I destroyed her for it." The water rippled, though there was no wind. "Show me," Theo whispered. "Show me what I need to see. Break me if you have to. Just help me find her. Please." For a moment, nothing happened. Then the water began to glow, silver light emanating from its depths. Theo leaned forward, peering into the luminescence, and was pulled under. Not physically. His body remained by the pool. But his consciousness, his very soul, plunged into the water and emerged somewhere else entirely. A memory. His memory, but seen through different eyes. He was standing in the palace ballroom, 3 years ago, watching himself meet Lily for the first time. Saw the exact moment their eyes met and the bond snapped into place. Saw the joy that lit up her face, the hope that bloomed in her chest like spring flowers. Finally, his past self whispered, "I've been waiting for you my whole life." And he'd meant it. In that moment, he'd meant every word. The scene shifted. 6 months later. He watched himself argue with his council about accepting the mate bond. Watched them plant seeds of doubt. A king should choose his queen based on political advantage, not cosmic coincidence. The mate bond is just biology. Real love is a choice. Look at her, sweet, yes, but is she strong enough to stand beside a king? He'd listened. God help him, he listened and let their poison take root. Another shift. A year into their bonding. Theo watched Lily prepare dinner with her own hands, humming softly, excited to spend time with him. Watched his past self arrive home hours late, reeking of alcohol and another woman's perfume. Saw Lily's face crumble, saw her try to smile through the tears. "I'm glad you're home," she'd said. "I was worried." "Don't wait up for me anymore," his past self had replied coldly. "I have duties that don't involve playing house." The scene shifted again and again, each one more damaging than the last. Watching himself flirt with Kara at a state dinner while Lily sat forgotten at the far end of the table. Watching Lily bring him lunch and finding him with Kara in his office, the door unlocked, not even trying to hide it. Watching Lily's light dim a little more each day, her smiles becoming forced, her laughter hollow. And through it all, Theo felt everything she'd felt. The bond, which he'd kept closed for so long, was now open completely, and he was drowning in 3 years of her pain. The humiliation, the shame, the desperate, clawing need to be enough for him. The nights she'd cried herself to sleep. The mornings she'd forced herself to get up and keep going because her people needed her, even if her mate didn't. The exact moment she'd found out she was pregnant, the joy that had bloomed, followed immediately by terror because she knew he wouldn't want it. Please, he heard her pray to the moon goddess, on her knees in this very temple. Please make him love me. I'll be better. I'll be stronger. I'll be whatever he needs. Just please, make him see me. And then the final memory. The night she disappeared. Theo watched through her eyes as she tried to call him. Once. Twice. 17 times. Felt her heart break a little more with each unanswered ring. Felt her resignation, her acceptance that he'd chosen Kara over her one final time. Felt her terror as the dark witches broke into her cottage. Felt her determination to protect their child at any cost. and felt her last thought before they dragged her through the portal. Maybe in another life, he'll love me the way I love him. The vision released him. Theo gasped, collapsing forward onto the stone, his body racked with sobs that tore from his chest like physical wounds. Every moment, every betrayal, every casual cruelty, he felt them all as she had felt them. And it was destroying him. But through the agony, through the soul-deep shame, he felt something else. Something fragile and precious stirring to life in his chest. The bond. Faint, damaged, barely more than a whisper, but there. A thread of silver light connecting him to her, stretching across realms, across the impossible distance between them. He grabbed onto it with everything he had, pouring every ounce of his love, his regret, his desperate need to make things right into that fragile connection. Lily, can you hear me? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Hold on. Please, just hold on. I'm coming for you. For a moment, nothing. Then, a response. Weak, barely perceptible, but unmistakably hers. Theo? His heart soared even as tears continued to stream down his face. Yes, it's me. Where are you? I'm going to find you. I swear I'm going to. The baby. Her voice in his mind was filled with fear. They want the baby. They're going to. The connection flickered, nearly broke. Lily. The aisle. Can't hold them off much longer. Theo, I'm scared. I'm coming. Do you hear me? I'm coming for you. Both of you. Just stay alive. Please, just stay alive. Loved you, always loved. Then silence again. But he had what he needed. The Isle of Echoes. Western Territories. A place of ancient magic and darker legends. Theo staggered to his feet, wiping his face with shaking hands. He felt raw, flayed open, like every nerve was exposed. But he also felt more alive than he had in 3 years. He burst from the temple, finding Liam and Ethan waiting anxiously outside. The Isle of Echoes, he gasped. She's at the Isle of Echoes. Mobilize everyone. We leave within the hour. Your Majesty, that's a 3-day journey even at full speed, Liam protested. And the waters around the isle are cursed. Ships that try to land there are torn apart by the storms. It's suicide. I don't care if it's impossible, Theo snarled, his eyes blazing gold with his wolf's fury. My mate is there. My child is there. And I will tear down heaven and earth to bring them home. He looked at his closest friends, his most trusted advisors, and they saw something in his face that hadn't been there before. Purpose. Absolute, unshakable purpose. Gather everyone, he commanded. Warriors, mages, healers. Anyone who's willing to face the impossible. Because we're going to war. And we're not coming back without our Luna. As his pack mobilized, as preparations began for a journey that might well be their last, Theo returned to his chambers. He pulled out the photograph he'd kept hidden in his desk, the one from his bonding ceremony, showing him and Lily laughing, his arms around her, both of them glowing with happiness and hope. I'm coming, he whispered to the image, to the woman he'd failed so completely. And when I find you, I'll spend the rest of my life proving that you were never the mistake. I was. But I'm done making mistakes. I'm done being the king who didn't deserve his queen. He tucked the photo into his jacket, right over his heart. Hold on, my Luna. Your king is finally coming home. Whoa. So now we know the truth. Kara was the enemy all along, using Theo's weakness against him. And Lily? She's fighting for her life and their baby on the Isle of Echoes. Theo's finally feeling everything he put her through, and friends, that bond? It's back. Weak, but it's there. Drop a comment if you're feeling this intensity. Are you ready to see Theo fight for his mate? And seriously, if you haven't subscribed yet, now is the time, because this rescue mission is about to get wild. Hit that button and let's go save our Luna. The war party assembled at dawn. 50 of the kingdom's finest warriors, 10 battle mages, and 3 healers led by Hannah herself. Maya had insisted on coming too, her eyes still burning with protective fury for her sister. If you get her killed, she'd told Theo flatly, I'll challenge you for the throne. And I'll win. He'd simply nodded. It was no less than he deserved. The journey to the western coast took 2 days of relentless travel. They moved in wolf form when possible, covering ground at supernatural speed, stopping only when absolutely necessary. Theo pushed them too hard. Some muttered, but no one dared complain aloud. Their alpha king was a man possessed. At night, when they made camp, Theo would sit apart from the others, eyes closed, reaching desperately through the bond. Sometimes he could feel a flutter of consciousness, a spike of fear or pain. Each time, it took everything in him not to abandon the group and run ahead alone. But he needed them. The wards around the Isle of Echoes were ancient and powerful. Breaking through would require combined strength, and even then, success wasn't guaranteed. On the second night, as they camped in the shadow of the Whispering Mountains, Liam approached Theo's solitary vigil. "You should eat," his beta said, offering dried meat and bread. "You're no good to her dead from starvation." Theo took the food mechanically, chewing without tasting. "I can feel her, Liam. She's terrified. In pain. And I'm here, days away, because I was too blind to see what was right in front of me. Self-flagellation won't save her." "No," Theo agreed quietly. "But maybe it'll make me into the man who can." Liam sat beside him, staring into the fire. "For what it's worth, I should have said something. I saw how you treated her. We all did. And we said nothing because it wasn't our place to question our alpha. But maybe if someone had." "Don't." Theo's voice was sharp. "Don't make excuses for me. I'm the king. The decisions were mine. The failure was mine." They sat in silence for a moment before Liam spoke again. "Hannah told me about the journal. About everything Lily did while you were occupied. Did you know she stopped a territory war?" Theo's head snapped up. "What?" 6 months ago. The northern and southern packs were ready to tear each other apart over a border dispute. You were in the eastern territories on that diplomatic mission, the one where Kara accompanied you. Liam's tone was carefully neutral. Lily stepped in. She mediated between both alphas, found a compromise that satisfied everyone, and did it all without bothering you because she knew you didn't want to be disturbed. Shame burned through Theo's chest. He remembered that trip. Remembered spending most of it in Kara's bed while Lily held his kingdom together. She didn't do it for recognition, Liam continued. She did it because she loved her people. Because being Luna wasn't just a title to her, it was a calling. While you were playing games with Kara, Lily was being the leader this kingdom needed. "Why are you telling me this?" Theo asked hoarsely. "Because when we get her back, and we will get her back, you need to understand what you're fighting for. Not just a mate. Not just the mother of your child. But a woman who is 10 times the leader you've been for the past 3 years." The words should have felt like an attack. Instead, they felt like absolution. Like permission to see Lily not as the weak, forgettable mate he'd convinced himself she was, but as the powerful, compassionate queen she'd always been. "I won't fail her again," Theo vowed. "Good," Liam said, standing. "Because tomorrow we reach the coast. And then the real battle begins." The Port of Storms lived up to its name. Waves crashed against the docks with enough force to shatter stone. The sky was a roiling mass of black clouds shot through with lightning. And beyond the harbor, barely visible through the sheets of rain, loomed the Isle of Echoes. It looked like a piece of nightmare made solid. Black cliffs rose from churning waters, jagged and cruel. No vegetation grew on its surface, just bare rock and the ruins of some ancient civilization, half swallowed by the sea. The air itself seemed to scream, a constant wail that made Theo's wolf cower and whine. The isle is protected by more than just wards, Elder Mara had warned before they left. The place itself is sentient, in a way. It feeds on fear, on doubt, on guilt. It will show you visions designed to break you. You must be strong, Alpha King. Stronger than you've ever been. Standing on the dock, staring at that cursed place, Theo understood why no one had successfully reached the isle in over a century. "How do we even get there?" Ethan asked, eyeing the violent waters. "No ship can survive that." "We don't need a ship," came a new voice. A woman emerged from the rain, tall, dark-skinned, with eyes that glowed faintly silver. She wore the robes of a sea witch, a rare and powerful type of magic user. I'm Nora. Elder Mara sent word that the Alpha King would need passage. You can get us to the Isle? Theo demanded. Nora's smile was grim. I can get you close. The rest is up to you. She studied him with those unsettling eyes. You're the one who broke your mate bond, aren't you? The fool who chose lust over love. Yes, Theo said simply. No point in denying it. At least you own it. She turned to the churning sea, raising her hands. The waters around the Isle don't want you there. They'll fight you every step of the way. But I can calm them. Temporarily. You'll have maybe an hour to reach the shore before the storms return. And the wards? Hannah asked. The wards are trickier. Nora's expression darkened. They're keyed to dark magic, specifically to the Blackthorn bloodline. Only they can pass through freely. Anyone else? She made a slicing motion across her throat. But there's a loophole. True mates share a soul bond. If the Alpha King can sink his life force to his lunas through the bond, he can piggyback through the wards. And anyone touching him comes through too. That's insane, Maya protested. Sinking life forces? That's advanced magic. It takes years of training. Or desperate love, Nora interrupted. Which do you think the Alpha King has more of? Time or desperation? Theo stepped forward. Tell me what to do. Nora regarded him for a long moment, then nodded. Everyone into the water. Now. Into the Are you insane? One of the warriors protested. Those waves will kill us. The owl will kill you worse, Nora shot back. Now move, unless you want your Luna to die while you stand here debating. That got them moving. 50 warriors, 10 mages, 3 healers, and 1 Alpha King waded into waters so cold they burned. The waves tried to drag them under immediately, but Nora's magic held them steady barely. Form a chain, she commanded. Everyone hold on to each other. The Alpha King at the front. When I give the signal, he needs to open the bond completely. Pour everything he is into his mate. Become one consciousness, one heartbeat, one soul. Only then will the wards recognize him as Blackthorn property and let him pass. Theo felt his warriors line up behind him, hands gripping shoulders, forming a living chain. He could feel their fear through the pack bonds, their doubt. They were following him into almost certain death because he'd been too arrogant to value the mate the moon goddess gave him. He wouldn't fail them. Couldn't fail them. Lily, he called through the bond. Lily, I need you. I'm coming, but I need your help. Can you hear me? Silence. Then, so faint he almost missed it. Theo? Relief crashed through him. Yes. I'm here. I'm coming for you. But I need you to open the bond. Completely. No barriers, no walls. I need to feel you, all of you. Can you do that? There, watching. The witches. If they realize you're coming, let them watch. Let them see that their plan failed. That they underestimated what a mate bond truly means. He poured every ounce of conviction into his words. I love you, Lily. I know I never showed it, never said it, never acted like it. But I love you. I've loved you since the moment our eyes met. I was just too afraid to admit it. Too afraid of losing control, of being vulnerable. But I'm not afraid anymore. I'm yours. Completely, eternally yours. A pause that felt like eternity. Then, show me. The bond exploded open between them. Theo gasped as her consciousness flooded into his. He felt everything, her fear, her pain, her exhaustion. But beneath it all, buried but unbroken, was her love for him. Still there. Still burning like an eternal flame despite everything he'd done to extinguish it. And she felt him too. Felt his guilt, his desperation, his absolute determination to save her or die trying. Felt the truth of his words, the depth of his love that he'd buried so deep even he'd forgotten it existed. I'm sorry, he whispered through the bond. For all of it. For every moment of pain. For every tear. For making you believe you weren't enough when you were always everything. Save us, she whispered back. Save our baby. That's all the apology I need. No, Nora screamed. The sea witch's magic surged, and the water around them began to glow. The waves parted like a great beast opening its jaws, revealing a path through the churning sea. The warriors ran, the chain holding strong, pulling each other forward through the impossible corridor of calm water. But the isle's defenses weren't done. As they ran, the water on either side began to show images. Reflections that weren't reflections. Theo saw himself, but different. Saw the version of himself that had chosen differently. Saw himself 3 years ago, looking into Lily's eyes and saying, "Yes, you're exactly what I wanted. What I've been waiting for." Saw a life where he'd loved her from the start. Where Kara had never been able to drive a wedge between them. Where Lily glowed with happiness instead of fading with sorrow. Where their child was conceived in love instead of desperation. Where they were happy. The vision was so beautiful it made his chest ache. And it was a lie. A temptation. The all showing him what could have been if only he'd been better, been different, been the man Lily deserved. "Don't look." Hannah screamed from somewhere behind him. "It's a trap. It wants you to drown in regret." But Theo couldn't look away. Couldn't stop seeing the life he'd stolen from Lily through his own selfishness and pride. Then, through the bond, he felt her. Felt Lily's hand metaphorically, spiritually reaching for his. "That life is gone," she said gently. "We can't change the past. But we can still save the future." "You should hate me," he said brokenly. "After everything I've done." "I should. But I don't. Maybe I'm a fool. Maybe I'm weak. But I love you, Theo. Even now. Even after all of it." A pause, then softer. "So stop drowning in what could have been and swim toward what still can be." Her words snapped him back to reality. The vision shattered like glass, and suddenly they were through, standing on the black sand beach of the Isle of Echoes, waves crashing behind them, the impossible path already closing. Theo counted heads frantically. 50 warriors. 10 mages. 3 healers. Everyone had made it through. The wards, Ethan breathed, staring up at the shimmering barrier of magic that covered the isle like a dome. "We just passed through the wards." "No," a cold voice said from the cliffs above. "The Alpha King passed through the wards. You all just came along for the ride." Figures emerged from the ruins. Dozens of them, all wearing black cloaks, all radiating dark magic that made the air taste like copper and ash. And at their center, beautiful and terrible, stood Cassandra Blackthorn. Kara. She looked different now. The soft, seductive woman who'd graced his bed was gone, replaced by something harder, colder. Her eyes glowed with unnatural light, and when she smiled, Theo saw fangs. "Hello, lover," she purred. "I'm so glad you could make it. Lily will be thrilled to see you." Well, what's left of Lily anyway? Rage. Pure, incandescent rage flooded through Theo. His wolf surged forward, demanding blood, demanding vengeance for everything this creature had done to his mate. "Where is she?" he snarled, his voice barely human. "Close," Cassandra said, examining her nails casually. "Very close. In fact, you could almost say she's right here with us." She placed her hand over her chest mockingly. "I can feel her heartbeat. Weak, fluttering. Like a dying bird. Tell me, Alpha King, do you remember what it was like to hold her? To feel her heartbeat against yours?" "Oh wait, you don't, do you? Because you never held her. You were too busy holding me." The warriors behind Theo growled, ready to attack. But he held up a hand, stopping them. "This isn't about us," he said, forcing calm into his voice. "This is about an innocent woman. An innocent child. Let them go, Cassandra. Take me instead. Use my life force for your ritual. Just let them go." Cassandra laughed, the sound like breaking glass. "Oh, that's precious." The great Alpha King, suddenly noble. "But you see, it doesn't work that way. The prophecy is specific. It requires the child of true mates, conceived during strife, carried in sorrow, born under the twin moons. Your child is the key. Your mate is the vessel. And you." Her smile widened. "You're just the fool who made it all possible." She raised her hand, and the dark witches around her began to chant. The ground trembled. The sky split with black lightning. The eclipse begins in 3 days, Cassandra continued. We've waited centuries for this moment. Waited for an alpha stupid enough to weaken the mate bond, to isolate his Luna, to make her vulnerable. You exceeded our expectations, Theo. You were perfect. So perfectly, tragically flawed. I'll kill you, Theo promised, his voice cold as death. I'll tear you apart with my bare hands. Maybe. But first, you'll have to get past them. Cassandra snapped her fingers, and the ruins behind her began to move. To shift and rise and take form. Creatures emerged from the stone. Things that had once been wolves, but were now twisted, corrupted, held together by dark magic and malice. Dozens of them. Maybe hundreds. The Isle remembers everyone who ever died here, Cassandra said pleasantly. Every warrior who tried to reach it. Every fool who thought they could challenge the Blackthorn bloodline. They're all still here. And they're all very, very hungry. The creatures charged. Formation. Liam roared, and the warriors responded instantly, forming a defensive circle. Mages at the center, warriors on the outside, healers protected in the middle. But Theo didn't join the formation. He shifted a burst of power that ripped through the air like thunder, and his massive black wolf form crashed forward to meet the horde. He was Alpha. He was king. And these things stood between him and his mate. The battle was chaos. Corrupted wolves slammed into royal warriors. Magic crackled through the air, silver from the royal mages, black from the Blackthorn witches. Blood painted the sand. Screams echoed off the cliffs. Theo fought like a demon, tearing through the corrupted creatures with savage efficiency. But there were so many. For every one he destroyed, 2 more took its place. And through it all, he could feel Lily. Close. So close. Her fear spiking as she felt the battle through the bond, her desperate hope that he would somehow, impossibly, reach her. Where are you? He called through the bond while ripping out the throat of a corrupted wolf. Lily, where are they keeping you? The temple, came her weak response. At the center of the Isle. Theo, don't come. It's a trap. They're using me as bait too. I don't care. I'm coming. You'll die. Then I'll die saving you. Better than living with your death on my conscience. He felt her sob through the bond, felt her love and terror and resignation all tangled together. I forgive you, she whispered. For everything. I just need you to know that before. Don't you dare say goodbye. His mental voice was fierce. Don't you dare give up. We're getting out of this. Together. I swear it on the moon goddess herself. A roar from his left. Ethan was down, 3 corrupted wolves on top of him. Theo lunged, scattering the creatures, standing over his gamma protectively while Ethan struggled to his feet. There's too many. Hannah screamed, her healing magic stretched thin, trying to keep the wounded warriors alive. We can't hold them. She was right. They were being overwhelmed. His best warriors, his most powerful mages, none of it was enough against the sheer numbers of corrupted creatures the Isle was throwing at them. They were going to lose. They were going to die here, on this cursed beach, and Lily would die alone in that temple, believing until the end that he'd tried. No. The word echoed through Theo's mind with absolute certainty. No. I will not fail her again. He threw back his head and held a sound of pure alpha command that rolled across the Isle like an earthquake. Every royal wolf on that beach felt it in their bones, felt the order embedded in the sound. Fight. For your Luna. For your kingdom. For the future. Fight. Power surged through the pack bonds, strength flowing from their alpha into every warrior. They fought harder, faster, their movements synchronized with supernatural precision. But it still wasn't enough. Then, from the ruins above, a new sound joined the chaos. Howls. Dozens of them. Hundreds. Theo's heart leaped as wolves poured down from the cliffs, not corrupted creatures, but living, breathing wolves. Rogues from the territories, packs from neighboring kingdoms, wolves he'd never even met. And at their head ran Maya in her silver wolf form, leading what looked like half the kingdom behind her. You didn't think we'd let you have all the fun, did you? Maya's voice came through the pack links, fierce and alive. That's our Luna you're saving. Our future queen. We're not letting some dark witches take her without a fight. Hope blazed in Theo's chest. Push forward, he commanded. To the temple. The reinforcements crashed into the corrupted horde, turning the tide. Suddenly they were advancing, driving the creatures back, carving a path through the chaos toward the center of the aisle. Cassandra's confident smile faltered. No, she hissed. No, this isn't how it's supposed to. You underestimated her, Theo snarled, his human voice emerging from his wolf throat through sheer force of will. You underestimated how much these people love their Luna. How much they'd sacrifice to save her. You thought isolating her meant she was alone. But she was never alone. She had an entire kingdom who saw what I was too blind to see, that she was the heart of everything. He charged forward, and this time, nothing could stop him. Oh my god, the backup. The entire kingdom came to save their Luna. Because while Theo was too blind to see Lily's worth, the people weren't. They knew. They always knew. Drop a comment if you're feeling emotional right now. Are you crying? I'm crying. And we're so close to the temple, so close to Lily. If you're not subscribed yet, do it now, because the next part is going to absolutely wreck you in the best way. We're bringing our Luna home. The temple rose from the center of the aisle like a broken-toothed ancient stone carved with symbols that hurt to look at, pulsing with dark magic that made the air shimmer and distort. Every instinct Theo possessed screamed at him to turn back, that nothing good waited inside those walls. But Lily was in there. His mate. His Luna. The mother of his child. So he ran forward. The corrupted creatures fell back as he approached, forming a corridor that led straight to the temple entrance. Too easy. It was too easy, which meant, it's a trap, Liam panted, catching up to him in human form, blood streaking his face from a dozen wounds. Your Majesty, this is obviously. I know, Theo said, shifting back to human form as well. His body ached, covered in cuts and bruises, but he barely felt them. I don't care. I'm going in. Then we're going with you, Ethan said firmly, materializing on his other side. Maya was there too, her eyes blazing with protective fury, and Hannah, and a dozen of his best warriors. No, Theo said. This is between me and Cassandra. Between me and the consequences of my failures. You need to hold the line out here. Keep the creatures from getting reinforcements into the temple. Theo, Maya started. That's an order, he said, his alpha command rolling through the words. Then, softer, please. If something goes wrong, if I don't make it out, someone needs to survive to tell the kingdom what happened. To tell them that their Luna fought. That she was brave until the end. You're not dying today, Maya said fiercely. Neither of you. Because if you do, I'll find a way to resurrect you just so I can kill you again myself. Despite everything, Theo almost smiled. Fair enough. He turned to the temple entrance, massive doors carved with screaming faces, and pushed them open. The interior was lit by sickly green flames that cast dancing shadows across walls covered in more of those painful symbols. The air was thick with incense and something else, something that smelled like decay and old blood. And there, at the far end of the chamber, suspended in chains of pure darkness above a ritual circle carved into the stone floor, was Lily. Theo's heart stopped. She looked like a ghost of herself. Her silver hair, once so vibrant, hung limp and dull. Her skin was pale, almost translucent, stretched tight over bones that showed too clearly. The simple dress she wore was torn and stained with blood. But her eyes, when they opened and found his, were still bright. Still alive. Still filled with the love he'd never deserved. Theo, she whispered, her voice cracked and broken. You came. Always, he said, his own voice thick with emotion. I'll always come for you. I'm so sorry it took me so long to understand that. He started forward, but Cassandra appeared from the shadows, blocking his path. She looked different now, more powerful, more terrifying. The dark magic radiating from her was almost solid, pressing against him like a physical weight. Touching, she said mockingly. The Alpha King finally grows a conscience. But you're too late, lover. The ritual has already begun. Look. She gestured to Lily, and Theo saw it the way the darkness was slowly seeping into her, crawling up from the ritual circle like living shadows. They wrapped around her stomach, around their child, pulsing with malevolent hunger. The eclipse is in 3 days, Cassandra continued, circling him like a predator. But we don't need to wait that long. Not anymore. Your little rescue attempt? It was exactly what we needed. You opened the bond completely, didn't you? Synced your life forces to get through the wards. That connection is what we've been waiting for. Dread, cold and absolute, flooded through Theo. What are you talking about? The prophecy says the child must be born under the twin moons to reach full power. But there's another way. A shortcut. Cassandra's smile was venomous. If the mate bond is strong enough, if the Alpha King and his Luna are truly one soul, we can use that connection as a conduit. Channel the child's latent power through the bond, through you, and harvest it early. No, Theo breathed. Oh yes. And the best part? You did all the hard work for us. You opened the bond. Made it stronger than it's been in years. All because you wanted to save her. Cassandra laughed. You're about to kill your mate and child through the very love that was supposed to protect them. Isn't that poetic? Rage exploded through Theo. He shifted mid-leap, his wolf form crashing into Cassandra with enough force to shatter stone. They tumbled across the temple floor in a tangle of fur and magic and violence. She was strong, impossibly strong. Dark magic augmented her movements, made her faster, more resilient. For every wound he inflicted, the shadows healed her. For every time he got close to her throat, she slipped away like smoke. You can't win, she hissed, her form flickering between human and something else, something ancient and wrong. I've spent 3 years planning this. 3 years getting close to you, learning your weaknesses, making sure the bond was weak enough to manipulate. Did you really think a few days of guilt and determination could undo all of that? No, Theo snarled, slamming her into a pillar hard enough to crack the ancient stone. But I think 3 years of underestimating my mate was your biggest mistake. Because he could feel it now, through the bond. Lily wasn't just a victim suspended in those chains. She was fighting. Had been fighting this entire time. The dark magic trying to invade her body kept hitting resistance silver light that flared from within her, protecting their child with a ferocity that took his breath away. She was weak, exhausted, barely conscious, but she was still fighting. Lily, he called through the bond. I need you to trust me. Can you do that? Always, came her immediate response, and the simplicity of it, the absolute certainty, nearly broke him. The bond is what's powering the ritual. It's what they need to harvest the baby's magic. I know. I can feel it. Then we have to break it. The words caused physical pain to travel through the connection. Breaking a mate bond was agony, potentially fatal. It went against every instinct, every law of nature the moon goddess had written into their souls. If we break the bond, Lily said slowly, the ritual fails. But Theo, we might not survive it. And even if we do, we can never reform it. We'd be severing our connection forever. I know. But at least you'd be alive. You and the baby. That's all that matters. Theo. I love you, he said fiercely, still fighting Cassandra, keeping her attention on him and away from Lily. I love you more than I ever had the courage to say. And I would rather spend the rest of my life alone, knowing you're out there somewhere happy and safe with our child, than keep this bond and lose you both. He felt her crying through the connection. You're really willing to give up the bond? After everything it took to fix it? 1,000,000 times over. You're worth more than any bond. Worth more than any prophecy or destiny or cosmic plan. You're worth everything, Lily. And I'm so sorry it took me losing you to understand that. Silence. Then. Okay, let's do it. No. Cassandra shrieked. She'd been listening, monitoring the bond, and she realized too late what they were planning. You can't. If you break the bond now, the backlash will destroy you both. Good, Theo said coldly. Then we'll die together. The way we should have lived. He reached deep inside himself, found the golden thread of the mate bond, and began to tear. The pain was instantaneous and absolute. It felt like being ripped in half, like having his soul carved out with a rusty blade. He heard Lily screaming, felt her agony mirroring his own through the connection that was rapidly fraying. But beneath the pain was something else. Love. Pure, unconditional, eternal love flowing between them as the bond unraveled. Every moment they should have had, every word he should have said, every touch he denied her, it all poured through the connection in a desperate rush, as if the bond itself was trying to show them what they were losing. And it was beautiful. Devastating and beautiful. The dark magic around Lily began to flicker, to weaken. Cassandra screamed in fury, abandoning her fight with Theo to rush toward the ritual circle. She raised her hands, trying to force the magic to hold, to complete the harvest before the bond broke completely. "I won't let you ruin this," she shrieked. "Centuries of planning. Centuries of waiting. You don't get to." A blast of silver light exploded from Lily's body, so bright it was blinding. The chains holding her shattered. The ritual circle cracked down the middle with a sound like reality itself breaking. And the temple began to collapse. "No!" Cassandra wailed as the ceiling started to cave in, as the dark magic she'd spent years building up unraveled in a cascading failure. "This isn't how it ends. This isn't." A chunk of stone fell, crushing her mid-sentence. The screaming stopped. Theo barely noticed. He was already running toward Lily, who was falling from where the chains had held her. He caught her just before she hit the ground, cradling her against his chest as the temple crumbled around them. "I've got you," he gasped, his whole body shaking from the pain of the broken bond. It felt like bleeding out from a wound that would never heal. "I've got you." "Theo," Lily whispered, her hand weakly reaching up to touch his face. "The baby. Is the baby?" He pressed his hand to her stomach and nearly sobbed with relief. "They're faint but steady, a tiny heartbeat. Alive. Their child was alive." "They're okay," he said, pressing his forehead to hers. "You saved them. You saved us all." "We saved each other," she corrected softly. Then her eyes began to close. "Theo, I'm so tired." "No, no, stay with me," he begged, stumbling toward the temple exit as the entire structure came down around them. "Lily, please, stay with me. Don't leave me. Not now. Not after." He burst through the temple doors just as the entire building imploded in a cloud of dust and dark magic. His warriors rushed forward, helping him carry Lily away from the destruction, laying her gently on the black sand beach. Hannah was there immediately, her healing magic washing over Lily's broken body. But even as she worked, her face grew more concerned. "The bond breaking, it's caused massive internal damage," she said urgently. "Her body is going into shock. I can stabilize her, but Theo, you need to understand. She's dying. The trauma of severing a mate bond while this weakened, while pregnant, it's too much." "No," Theo said flatly. "No, that's not acceptable. There has to be something." "There is," came a voice like silver bells and autumn wind. Every wolf on that beach immediately dropped to their knees. Because standing before them, materializing from moonlight and starshine, was the moon goddess herself. She was beautiful and terrible, ancient and young, her form constantly shifting like she couldn't be contained by any single shape. But her eyes, infinite and knowing, were fixed on Theo with an expression that could have been disappointment or compassion or both. "Alpha King Theodric," she said, her voice echoing from everywhere and nowhere. "You have caused quite the mess." Theo couldn't speak, could barely breathe in the presence of such overwhelming divinity. "You rejected my gift," the goddess continued, walking slowly toward where Lily lay unconscious. "The bond one wove between you and this woman was meant to be sacred, unbreakable, a love that transcended time and fate. And you treated it like a burden, a cage." "I know," Theo whispered hoarsely. "I know, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But please, please don't punish her for my failures. She never did anything wrong. She loved me the way you intended, the way I should have loved her. If you're going to take someone, take me. Let her live. Let them both live." The goddess tilted her head, studying him. You would trade your life for hers? Even now, with no bond to compel you? Even knowing you would never see your child grow, never know if she truly forgave you? Yes, Theo said without hesitation. 1,000 times yes. My life means nothing compared to hers. For a long moment, the goddess said nothing. Then she smiled, sad and gentle and somehow proud. You have learned, Alpha King. Suffering is a harsh teacher, but an effective one. She knelt beside Lily, placing her hand over the unconscious woman's heart. She is dying. You are correct in that. The bond breaking while she was this fragile, it should kill her. And the child would die with her. Theo's world cracked apart. But the goddess continued, there is another way. A path not often taken, for it requires great sacrifice. Anything, Theo said desperately. Name it. I'll do anything. The mate bond was broken, but the love remains. I can feel it in both of you. A love that transcended my design, that became real and chosen rather than cosmically mandated. The goddess's eyes glowed brighter. I can forge a new bond. Not of fate, but of choice. Not because the universe demands it, but because you both want it. But such a bond requires balance. Requires payment. What kind of payment? Your immortality, the goddess said simply. Alpha Kings live for centuries, sustained by the power of the pack bonds. But if I create this new bond, you will become mortal. Human-lived. You will age and die within a normal lifespan. Your reign will be brief. Your time with her, finite. Theo didn't hesitate. Do it. Theo, no. Maya cried out. You can't, the kingdom needs. The kingdom needs a Luna who loves them, Theo interrupted, his eyes never leaving the goddess. A Luna who has already proven she's a better leader than I ever was. They need Lily. I'm just the fool who was lucky enough to be chosen for her. The goddess studied him for another long moment, then nodded. Very well. But understand, Alpha King, this bond will not erase the past. It will not undo the pain you caused. She will remember everything. And you will have to live with those memories as well, knowing how badly you failed her. I know, Theo said quietly. I'll spend every day making up for it. Then kneel. He knelt beside Lily, taking her hand in his. The goddess placed one hand on his chest, one on Lily's, and began to speak in a language older than words. Power surged through the air, silver and gold and pure as starlight. Theo felt it happening, felt the old, broken bond dissolving completely, the torn edges finally healing. Felt something new beginning to form in its place. Different from before. Stronger. Because this time, he was choosing it. Choosing her. Not because fate demanded it, but because he wanted to. Because he loved her more than he loved his own immortality, his own power, his own pride. The new bond snapped into place and Theo gasped. It felt like coming home. Like finding something he didn't know he'd lost. He could feel Lily again, her heartbeat, her thoughts, her soul, but it was different now. Clearer. More real. And he felt when she woke up. Her eyes fluttered open, glowing silver in the presence of the goddess. What happened? You live, the goddess said gently. Both of you. You and your child. Because your mate finally learned what it means to truly love someone. Lily's gaze found Theo's, and in her eyes, he saw everything. The forgiveness he didn't deserve. The love he'd never appreciated. The hope that maybe, somehow, they could start again. You broke the bond, she whispered. To save us. I'd break 1,000 bonds to save you, he replied, his voice raw with emotion. I'd give up everything, power, immortality, the throne itself, if it meant you and our child could live. You did give up your immortality, the goddess said pleasantly. Just so we're clear. That part wasn't hypothetical. Theo laughed, actually laughed for the first time in days. I know. Worth it. The goddess stood, her form already beginning to fade. The isle is cleansing itself now that the blackthorn magic is destroyed. You should leave before it sinks back into the sea. And Alpha King? Treat this second chance with the reverence it deserves. I do not give third chances. I won't need one, Theo vowed. The goddess smiled, then vanished like morning mist. For a moment, everyone on that beach just sat in stunned silence. Then Lily sat up slowly, carefully, Hannah's healing magic still working to repair the damage, and looked at Theo. Really looked at him. "You really came," she said wonderingly. "After everything. After I moved out, after I stopped fighting, after I accepted that we were over. You still came." "I'll always come for you," Theo said fiercely. "I was a fool, Lily. A blind, arrogant fool who didn't see the treasure right in front of him. Who took the moon goddess's greatest gift and treated it like garbage. But I see now. I see you. And if you'll let me, I'll spend the rest of my life, however long or short it may be, proving that you were always enough. More than enough. You were everything." Lily's eyes filled with tears. "I don't know if I can just forgive everything. 3 years of pain doesn't disappear because of one grand gesture." "I know," Theo said. "And I'm not asking you to. I'm just asking for a chance. A chance to be the mate I should have been from the beginning. To be the father our child deserves. To be the man worthy of standing beside you." She stared at him for a long moment, her hand unconsciously moving to her stomach where their child grew safe and protected. Then, slowly, she reached out and took his hand. "Okay," she whispered. "One chance. But Theo, if you waste it, if you ever make me feel that small again." "I won't," he swore. "On my life, on my throne, on everything I am, I won't." She nodded, then let him help her to her feet. They stood together on that cursed beach, surrounded by warriors who'd fought and bled for their Luna, and for the first time in 3 years, they looked like what they were supposed to be. Mates. Partners. 2 halves of one whole. "Your Majesty," Liam said carefully. "The isle is beginning to shake. We should." The ground trembled violently, cutting him off. In the distance, the temple ruins were sinking into the earth, pulled down by forces beyond understanding. "Everyone back to the boats," Ethan commanded. "Move." The warriors scrambled, helping the wounded, supporting each other. Maya appeared at Lily's other side, her face wet with tears, and pulled her sister into a fierce hug. "Don't you ever scare me like that again," she said roughly. "I thought I'd lost you." "Never," Lily promised. "I'm too stubborn to die." As they made their way back across the black sand beach, slower this time, exhausted and wounded, but victorious, Theo kept his hand locked with Lily's. The new bond hummed between them, tentative but growing stronger with every moment. And as Nora's magic opened a path through the waters once more, as they left the Isle of Echoes to sink back into legend, Theo made a silent vow to the moon goddess, to Lily, to their unborn child. He would never take this second chance for granted. Would never let her fade again. Would spend every day proving that love wasn't about cosmic mandates or fated bonds, it was about choice. About choosing to show up, to fight, to love even when it was hard. Especially when it was hard. The isle disappeared beneath the waves behind them, taking with it the darkness that had nearly destroyed everything. But ahead, on the horizon, the sun was rising. A new day. A new beginning. And this time, Theo wouldn't waste it. "I'm not crying, you're crying." The moon goddess herself showed up, friends. And Theo gave up his immortality for Lily. He chose her. Finally chose her. This is what we've been waiting for. But listen, this isn't the end. There's still healing to do, trust to rebuild, and a baby on the way. Comment below. Do you think Theo can really change? Can they build something real from the ashes of what was broken? And if you're feeling this journey, please hit that subscribe button because we're not done yet. Not by a long shot. The journey back to the kingdom should have been triumphant. They'd rescued the Luna, destroyed the Blackthorn Coven, and survived the impossible. But as the days passed and they traveled homeward, a different kind of darkness began to settle over the group. Lily was physically healing, Hannah's magic working wonders on her battered body. But emotionally, she was distant. Quiet. She let Theo stay close, let him hold her hand during the journey, but there was a wall between them that hadn't existed on the isle. The wall of reality setting in. On the 3rd night of their return journey, they made camp in the Silverwood Forest. Theo set up Lily's tent personally, making sure she had the softest furs, the warmest blankets. She thanked him politely, like he was a helpful stranger rather than her mate. It was killing him. "Give her time," Hannah said quietly, finding him sitting alone by the fire after Lily had gone to sleep. "She's been through hell. You both have. But Theo, you need to understand saving her life doesn't erase 3 years of trauma." "I know," he said hollowly. "I can feel it through the bond. She's scared. Of me. Of trusting me again. Can you blame her?" "No." He looked at Hannah, this woman who'd been Lily's closest friend, who'd witnessed every moment of pain he'd caused. "How do I fix this? How do I show her it's different now?" Hannah's expression was troubled. "I don't know if you can. Not quickly. Lily loved you so completely, Theo. She gave you everything, her heart, her trust, her dignity. And you crushed it all. Repeatedly. For 3 years. She paused, choosing her words carefully. "The woman you're trying to win back? She's not the same person who fell in love with you. That Lily died slowly, day by day, every time you chose Kara over her. The woman in that tent is someone new. Someone harder. Someone who's learned that even the people chosen by the moon goddess can break your heart." The words settled over Theo like a shroud. "So, what do I do?" "You do exactly what you promised. You show up. Every day. You prove through actions, not words, that you've changed. And you accept that even if you do everything right, she still might not be able to forgive you. Some wounds are too deep to fully heal." They reached the capital 5 days after leaving the Isle. The entire kingdom had turned out to greet them, thousands of wolves lining the streets, cheering for their Luna's safe return. But when Lily stepped out of the carriage, supported by Maya because she was still weak, the cheers turned to shocked gasps. She looked like a ghost. Her silver hair, once her crowning glory, was dull and lifeless. Her face was gaunt, dark circles under her eyes that spoke of sleepless nights and endless suffering. The simple dress Hannah had given her hung loose on her frame, emphasizing how much weight she'd lost. But it was her eyes that made the crowd go silent. They'd lost their light. The warm, compassionate woman who'd walked among them, who'd known their children's names and helped their families, she looked hollowed out. Empty. And they knew exactly who to blame. As Theo stepped out of the carriage behind her, the cheers didn't come. Instead, a heavy, judging silence fell over the crowd. He could feel their anger, their disappointment. Could see it in their faces, the accusation, the disgust. "This is your fault. You did this to her." "Your Majesty," an elderly woman called out, her voice cutting through the silence. Elder Ruth, who'd served the kingdom for 50 years. "What have you done to our Luna?" Theo opened his mouth, but no words came. What could he say? That he was sorry? That he'd changed? Words meant nothing to these people. They'd watched him parade his mistress around for 3 years while their Luna faded. They'd seen the truth of his character. "He saved her," Maya said loudly, stepping forward. "Whatever else he's done, he saved her life." They both almost died on that isle. After he nearly got her killed in the first place, someone shouted from the crowd. If he'd answered her calls, if he'd protected his mate the way an alpha should, none of this would have happened. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. Theo felt his warriors shift uncomfortably behind him, hands moving toward weapons. The situation was deteriorating rapidly. His own people were on the verge of rebellion. "Enough." Lily's voice was soft, barely audible. But something in it made everyone go silent. She stepped forward, away from Maya's support, standing on her own despite the way she swayed. "I'm alive," she said, her voice growing stronger. "Our child is alive. That's what matters right now. Yes, mistakes were made. Yes, there is pain to process and wounds to heal. But this," she gestured to the angry crowd, "this helps no one. I don't need you to fight my battles. I need you to trust that I can fight them myself." She turned to look at Theo, and the emptiness in her eyes made his chest ache. "The Alpha King and I have much to work through. But that is between us. I ask that you respect that. Give us space. Give us time." "But Luna," Elder Ruth started. Please, Lily interrupted, and there was such weariness in the word that the protest died on the elder's lips. I'm so tired. I just want to rest. To heal. To figure out how to be myself again. The crowd parted silently as she walked through them, heading toward the palace. Maya shot Theo a warning look before following her sister. The rest of the rescue party dispersed, leaving Theo standing alone in the street while his subjects stared at him with undisguised contempt. Your Majesty, Liam said quietly, appearing at his side. We should go inside. The council is demanding a full report, and there are security concerns after. I don't care about the council, Theo said. Where did Lily go? To the cottage, I believe. The one she was living in before. Of course. She wouldn't go to the palace, wouldn't go to the chambers they'd shared when they were first bonded. Too many painful memories. She wanted to go back to the place that had been hers alone, where she'd tried to build a life separate from him. The place she'd almost died. Theo gave her 3 hours. 3 hours to settle in, to rest, to hopefully not slam the door in his face when he arrived. Then he made his way to the cottage, a small basket of food from the palace kitchens in hand. The cottage had been clean since that terrible night, but you could still see the evidence of what happened. New floorboards where her blood had stained the old ones. Patched walls where magic had blown holes in the structure. New furniture replacing what had been destroyed. He knocked softly. No answer. Lily? It's me. I brought food. Hannah said you haven't eaten since we got back. Silence. Then, finally, I'm not hungry. I'll just leave it by the door then. In case you change your mind. He set the basket down, then hesitated. Through the bond, he could feel her on the other side of the door. Could feel her warring with herself, part of her wanting to let him in, part of her terrified of being that vulnerable again. Lily, he said softly. I know you don't want to talk to me. I understand. But I need you to know something. The council is calling for a formal inquiry into what happened. They want me to make an official statement about Kara, about the Blackthorns, about all of it. So make a statement. Her voice came through the door, flat and emotionless. The truth will come out. About us. About how weak the bond was, how I neglected you, how I made you vulnerable to attack. And the kingdom, they're already angry. If they hear the full story, there could be calls for my abdication. A pause. And I'll do it. If that's what it takes. If that's what you need. I'll step down. Give the throne to someone else. Someone who deserves it. The door opened so suddenly he nearly fell forward. Lily stood there, wrapped in a blanket, her eyes blazing with the first real emotion he'd seen since the Isle. Don't you dare, she said fiercely. Don't you dare make yourself a martyr. Don't make this about your guilt or your need for punishment. This kingdom needs a strong leader, and like it or not, that's you. I'm not strong, Theo said bitterly. I'm weak. I proved that every day for 3 years. You were weak, Lily corrected. Past tense. But on that Isle, you gave up your immortality. You broke the mate bond to save me. You faced the moon goddess herself and chose me over everything. That's not weakness, Theo. That's, her voice cracked. That's everything I ever dreamed you'd be. Then why won't you let me in? He asked desperately. Why do I feel like I'm losing you even though you're right here? Lily's eyes filled with tears. Because I'm scared. I'm so scared, Theo. Every time I look at you, I see him. The man who ignored my calls. The man who chose Kara over me again and again. And I know you've changed, I can feel it through the bond. But knowing something and believing it are different things. What do I do? He whispered. Tell me what to do to fix this. I don't know if you can fix it, she said, tears spilling down her cheeks. Some things, once broken, never quite fit back together the same way. She started to close the door, but Theo put his hand against it. Not forcing it open, just holding it. Then let it be different, he said. Let us be different. We don't have to rebuild what was, we can build something new. Better. Something based on choice instead of fate, on trust instead of obligation. How? Lily asked, her voice small and broken. How do I trust you again when trusting you nearly killed me? I don't know, Theo admitted. But I want to try. Let me try, Lily. Please. Let me prove that I'm not that man anymore. She stared at him for a long moment, then stepped back. Come in. But we're just talking. Nothing else. Just talking, he agreed, following her inside. The cottage was sparse but comfortable. Lily had made it a home in the months she'd lived here. Artwork from local artists on the walls, plants in the windows, books stacked on every available surface. It was so perfectly her that it made Theo's chest ache. They sat at the small kitchen table, tea cooling between them, and for a while, neither spoke. I had a plan, Lily finally said, her hands wrapped around her mug. Before they took me. I was going to wait until after the baby was born, then reject the bond officially. Move to the Northern Territories where my mother's family lives. Raise the child away from the palace, away from you. The words hit like physical blows. You were going to take my child away? Your child? Lily's laugh was bitter. You didn't even know they existed. You never read my letter. Never asked why I moved out. You were so wrapped up in Kara that I could have disappeared and you might not have noticed for weeks. That's not. Theo started, then stopped. Because it was true. God help him, it was true. You're right. I would have failed you both. Yes, Lily said simply. You would have. So I made a plan to save us. To give my baby a chance at having one parent who actually wanted them. I want them, Theo protested. I want you both. More than anything. Now you do. But Theo, where was this desperate love when I was crying myself to sleep every night? Where was this fierce protection when Kara was in your bed and I was alone in mine? Where was this devotion when I called you 17 times and you didn't answer even once? Each question was a knife, precise and devastating. Theo had no answers. No defense. Just the crushing weight of his failures. I was a coward, he finally said. I was terrified of the bond, of losing control, of being vulnerable. So I sabotaged it. I pushed you away and convinced myself it was your fault for not being what I wanted. When the truth is, you were everything. And I was too scared and stupid to see it. Do you know what the worst part was? Lily asked, her voice barely above a whisper. It wasn't the cheating. It wasn't even the humiliation. It was the hope. Every single day, I'd wake up and think maybe today would be different. Maybe today you'd look at me the way you used to. Maybe today you'd remember that we're meant to be together. And every single day, I was disappointed. That hope dying a little more each time until I didn't have any left. She looked at him with eyes full of old pain. You killed my hope, Theo. And I don't know if I can survive getting it back just to have you destroy it again. I won't. You don't know that, she interrupted. You can't promise that. Because here's the thing about broken trust, it's like broken glass. You can glue the pieces back together, but you'll always see the cracks. You'll always know it was shattered. And one wrong move, one moment of carelessness, and it breaks again. Easier the second time. Theo felt panic rising in his chest. She was building walls again, protecting herself from him. And he couldn't blame her. Couldn't argue. Because she was right. Then let me prove it, he said desperately. Not with words. With time. With actions. Let me show you that I've changed. For how long? Lily challenged. A month? A year? Until the novelty wears off and you get bored again? Until some other beautiful woman catches your eye and suddenly I'm not enough. That's not going to happen. You don't know that. Lily's voice rose, her composure finally cracking. You promised to love and cherish me on our bonding day. You vowed before the moon goddess herself to honor our connection. And you broke those promises like they meant nothing. So forgive me if I don't believe you when you say it's different now. It is different. Theo shot back, his own emotions boiling over. I gave up immortality for you. I broke the mate bond to save you. I walked through literal hell because I couldn't stand the thought of existing in a world without you. How is that not different? Because grand gestures are easy. Lily shouted, tears streaming down her face. Heroic sacrifices, dramatic declarations of love, those are easy in the moment when emotions are high and the stakes are clear. But what about when life goes back to normal? What about when there's no crisis to solve, no enemy to fight? What about the boring, everyday choice to love me when I'm not in danger? When I'm just me? Her voice broke on the last word. That's what I needed, Theo. Not a hero. Just a husband who chose me every day. Who answered the phone when I called? Who came home at night instead of to someone else's bed? Who made me feel like I mattered? You do matter, Theo said, his own voice thick with emotion. You matter more than anything. And I'll prove it. Every day, for the rest of my life, I'll prove it. Stop saying that. Lily cried, standing abruptly. Stop making promises you might not keep. I can't do this. I can't let myself believe you again just to have my heart broken. I don't have any pieces left to break. She was spiraling, panic and pain and 3 years of suppressed emotion finally erupting. Theo stood too, wanting to reach for her but knowing she might shatter if he touched her. Lily, get out, she whispered. Please. I need you to leave. Now. Lily, please, just listen. Get out. The words were a command, laced with Luna power that made his wolf whimper and retreat. Theo backed toward the door, his heart breaking all over again at the devastation on her face. I'm sorry, he said hoarsely. I'm so sorry. For all of it. I'll go. But Lily? I'm not giving up. I'll give you space, I'll give you time, but I'm not giving up on us. Not ever. He left before she could respond, closing the door gently behind him. And then he stood there in the darkness, listening to her sob on the other side, and felt like the monster he'd become. The next days were torture. Lily stayed in her cottage, seeing only Hannah and Maya. The kingdom was in an uproar, rumors flying about what had really happened, council members demanding explanations, threats of rebellion brewing in the outer territories. And Theo? Theo tried to hold everything together while feeling like he was dying inside. He threw himself into royal duties, working 18-hour days to fix the problems his neglect had caused. He met with every council member, every pack representative, laying out exactly what had happened. The Blackthorn infiltration, Kara's true identity, his own failures as a mate and king. The political fallout was brutal. Several pack leaders called for his abdication. Others demanded Lily be given equal ruling authority. The council was split between those who thought he deserved a second chance and those who believed he'd irreparably damaged the kingdom's integrity. Through it all, Theo accepted every criticism, every insult, every call for his resignation. Because they were right. He had failed. As a mate, as a king, as a man. On the 7th day after their return, Elder Mara requested a private audience. Theo met her in the old temple where he'd reconnected with the bond. You look terrible, the elder said bluntly. I feel terrible. Good. You should. She settled onto a stone bench with a heavy sigh. The Luna won't see you. I know. She cries herself to sleep every night. I know. She wants to forgive you. But she's terrified. Theo's head snapped up. How do you know that? Because I'm old and observant. And because I can see what you apparently cannot. She's just as broken as you are. Just as desperate to make this work. But her fear is stronger than her hope right now. Elder Mara fixed him with her ancient gaze. The question is, what are you going to do about it? I don't know, Theo admitted. She won't talk to me. Won't see me. I'm trying to give her space, but I feel like the more distance there is, the harder it'll be to bridge. Then stop trying to bridge it. What? Stop pushing. Stop trying to fix everything immediately. You're still thinking like the old Theo, the one who demanded immediate results, who couldn't stand not being in control. The elder's expression softened slightly. Love isn't about grand gestures or dramatic sacrifices. It's about showing up. Consistently. Without expectation of reward. I am showing up, Theo protested. I'm here. I'm available. I'm ready to do whatever it takes. No, you're hovering. You're waiting for permission to prove yourself. But real change doesn't ask for permission. It just is. Elder Mara stood, leaning on her staff. Stop waiting for Lily to give you a chance. Start living like you've already changed. Not for her, for yourself. Become the man she deserved to have all along, whether she ever forgives you or not. The words settled over Theo like a revelation. He'd been so focused on winning Lily back that he hadn't actually focused on the person he needed to become. How do I do that? He asked. Start with the kingdom. With the people you've neglected while you were too busy destroying your marriage. Show them the leader they deserve. And in doing so, maybe you'll show her too. The next morning, Theo announced sweeping reforms. Every law that had been sitting unaddressed for months got immediate attention. Every petition that had been ignored got reviewed. He reinstated the open council sessions Lily had started, where any pack member could voice concerns directly to the throne. He visited the lower districts, the parts of the capital he'd avoided because they were beneath his attention. Saw the poverty, the struggling families, the problems Lily had been trying to solve alone while he played king. He allocated funds for the homeless shelter, expanded the literacy program for pack children, created new job training initiatives for rogues wanting to join pack society. And he did it all without announcing it to Lily, without seeking her approval or praise. Because this wasn't about winning her back. It was about being better. Word spread quickly. The Alpha King, who'd been a selfish tyrant, was suddenly everywhere listening, helping, leading. Not from a throne, but from the streets. Not through commands, but through action. On the 15th day after their return, Theo was helping rebuild a house in the lower districts when Maya found him. You're filthy, she observed, watching him hammer shingles onto a roof. Comes with the work, he said, not stopping. Lily saw you yesterday. You were at the school, reading to children. Theo's hands stilled for just a moment before resuming. The literacy program needed volunteers. She watched you for 20 minutes before leaving. Didn't say anything. Just watched. Hope flared in Theo's chest, but he tamped it down. How is she? Physically? Healing well. The baby is strong, healthy. Hannah says everything looks good. Maya climbed up onto the roof beside him, studying his face. Emotionally? She's a mess. She wants to hate you. Wants to shut you out completely. But she can't stop watching you through the bond. Can't stop feeling you. Is that good or bad? I don't know, Maya admitted. But I'll tell you this, what you're doing, the way you're changing. She sees it. Everyone sees it. The kingdom is starting to remember why they crowned you in the first place. I don't care about the kingdom's opinion, Theo said quietly. I care about hers. I know. But maybe earning back the kingdom's trust is the first step to earning back hers. Maya left him there, and Theo continued working. Because Elder Mara was right. This wasn't about grand gestures. It was about showing up. Day after day. Whether Lily was watching or not. But she was watching. And with each passing day, the walls around her heart cracked just a little bit more. This is the darkest part of the journey, friends. Because sometimes the hardest battle isn't against external enemies, it's against the damage we've done to the people we love. Theo is trying, really trying, but is it enough? Can love rebuild what betrayal destroyed? Drop a comment with your honest thoughts. Do you believe he can earn her trust back? And if you're invested in this journey, hit that subscribe button because the turning point is coming and you do not want to miss it. We're so close now. So close to seeing if they can really make it. 3 weeks after their return, Lily woke in the middle of the night with a sharp pain in her abdomen. Not the baby Hannah had checked just yesterday. Everything was fine. This was different. A pulling sensation, almost like the bond was tugging at her, demanding her attention. She tried to ignore it. Rolled over, buried her face in the pillow, willed herself back to sleep. But the pull only grew stronger, more insistent, until she finally gave up and reached through the bond to see what was causing it. And gasped. Theo's emotions were flooding the connection, raw, unfiltered anguish so intense it made her chest ache. Something was wrong. Terribly wrong. She was out of bed before she consciously decided to move, throwing on a cloak over her nightgown and slipping out into the darkness. The bond pulled her forward like a compass pointing north, leading her through the empty streets toward the old temple. He was there on his knees before the moon goddess's pool, his body shaking with sobs that echoed off the stone walls. Lily froze in the doorway, uncertain. Part of her wanted to leave, to give him privacy in his grief. but a larger part, the part that still loved him despite everything, couldn't walk away from his pain. "Theo," she called softly. He looked up, and the devastation on his face made her heart clench. His eyes were red and swollen, his cheeks wet with tears. He looked broken in a way that had nothing to do with physical wounds. "I'm sorry," he choked out. "I didn't mean to wake you through the bond. I was trying to shield it, but I can't." "What happened?" Lily moved closer despite her reservations. "Are you hurt?" "No." "Yes." "I don't know." He laughed bitterly, the sound harsh and broken. "I came here to pray. To ask the moon goddess for guidance, for strength. And she showed me something. A vision of what could have been." "What do you mean?" "Our life. If I'd chosen differently." Theo's voice cracked. "She showed me everything. Every moment I stole from us. Every smile, every laugh, every quiet morning and peaceful night. Every time you would have reached for me and I would have been there. Every time our child would have seen their parents happy together." He pressed his hands to his face, shoulders heaving. 3 years, Lily. 3 years of happiness I destroyed because I was too proud and scared to accept the gift I'd been given. And now I can see it all, can see exactly what I lost, and it's killing me. Lily's throat tightened. She'd spent weeks building walls, protecting herself from him. But seeing him like this, seeing him truly understand the magnitude of what he'd done, something inside her cracked. "Why are you telling me this?" she whispered. "Because I need you to know that I understand now. Really understand. Not just intellectually, but in my soul." He looked up at her, his eyes blazing with intensity despite the tears. "I know what I destroyed. I know what we could have had. And I know that no amount of apologies or grand gestures will ever give that back to us." "Then why keep trying?" The question came out sharper than she intended. "If you know it's gone, why not just let me go? Move on?" "Because loving you isn't about what I get back," Theo said fiercely. "It's not about earning forgiveness or rebuilding what was. It's about choosing you every single day, whether you choose me back or not. It's about being the man you deserved all along, even if I never get to stand beside you again." He stood slowly, keeping his distance, respecting the space she needed. "I'll love you for the rest of my life, Lily. Whether you're with me or not. Whether you forgive me or not. Whether our child ever knows me as anything more than the father who failed them. That's not going to change. Because you changed me. Losing you, nearly losing our child, it shattered everything I thought I knew about myself. And I'm building something new from the pieces. Someone better. Someone worthy of the gift the moon goddess gave me, even if I never get to unwrap it." Lily felt tears sliding down her own cheeks. "You can't just say things like that." "Why not?" "It's the truth. Because it makes it harder," she cried. "It makes it harder to stay angry, to keep my walls up, to protect myself from you. And I need those walls, Theo. I need them because I'm so scared of letting you in again. So terrified that if I do, you'll—" "I won't," he interrupted gently. "I know you don't believe that. I know you can't believe it yet. But I'll prove it. However long it takes. However many years of showing up, of choosing you, of being present. I'll prove it. Years." Lily laughed shakily. "You really think it'll take years?" "I think it'll take however long you need. And I'm okay with that." Theo's expression softened. "I gave up immortality, remember? I don't have centuries anymore. Just a normal human lifespan. And I want to spend every moment of it earning your trust back. Even if I die still trying." Something in Lily's chest loosened. Not forgiveness, not yet. But something. A tiny crack in the armor she'd wrapped around her heart. "The council meeting is tomorrow," she said quietly. "They're going to formally question you about everything. About Kara, about the Blackthorns, about us. I know. They'll ask why the bond was weak enough for the enemy to exploit. They'll want to know every detail of how you neglected me, pushed me away, made me vulnerable. Let them ask. I'll tell them the truth. It'll be humiliating. For both of us. Everyone will know exactly how badly you failed as a mate." "I'm not afraid of humiliation," Theo said. "I'm afraid of lying. Of hiding the truth to protect my pride. That's what got us into this mess in the first place. Lily studied him for a long moment, searching his face for any sign of the old Theo, the one who'd valued appearances over honesty, pride over vulnerability. But all she saw was sincerity. Raw, painful sincerity. "I'm going to testify too," she said. "I'm going to tell them everything. How I felt, what I went through, why I moved out. Not to hurt you, but because they deserve to know who their Luna really is. Not the perfect, silent woman who accepted her mate's betrayals without complaint. The real me. The one who wanted to reject the bond and run away." Theo flinched but nodded. "Okay, you're not going to try to stop me? Why would I? It's your truth. Your story. You have every right to tell it." He took a shaky breath. "And maybe hearing it will help me understand even better what I put you through." Lily felt something shift in her chest. This was different. The old Theo would have begged her to protect his image, to minimize the damage to his reputation. But this Theo? He was prioritizing her truth over his pride. "I should go," she said, suddenly feeling overwhelmed. "It's late, and the baby I need rest." "Of course." Theo stepped back, giving her clear access to the door. "Lily?" She paused, looking back. "Thank you. For coming. For checking on me. You didn't have to." "The bond," she said softly. "It was pulling at me. I could feel your pain." "I know. I'm sorry about that. I'll work on shielding better." "Don't," Lily interrupted. Then, quieter, "don't shield from me. Even if we're not together. Even if we never are again. Don't shut me out. I spent 3 years feeling shut out, and I don't want that anymore." Hope flared in Theo's eyes, bright and desperate. "Okay. No shields. I promise." Lily nodded and left before she could do something foolish, like close the distance between them, like let him hold her, like admit that she missed him with an ache that rivaled the pain he'd caused. But as she walked back to her cottage through the pre-dawn darkness, she felt it clearly through the bond. His hope, his love, his absolute determination. And for the first time in weeks, she let herself hope too. The council chamber was packed. Every pack representative, every elder, every influential family in the kingdom had come to witness the formal inquiry. The air was thick with tension and barely suppressed anger. Lily sat in the witness section, Hannah on one side, Maya on the other. Her hand rested protectively on her stomach, where their child grew stronger every day. She dressed simply a pale blue dress that Hannah said brought out her eyes, but she held herself with the dignity of a queen. Because that's what she was, whether she'd felt like it or not. Theo entered last, flanked by Liam and Ethan. He'd foregone his usual royal regalia, wearing simple black clothing that made him look less like a king and more like a man facing judgment. Which Lily supposed he was. "This inquiry is now in session," Elder Ruth announced, her voice carrying through the chamber. "We are here to establish the facts surrounding the kidnapping of Luna Lily and the infiltration of our kingdom by the Blackthorn Coven. Alpha King Theodric, you will testify first." Theo stood, and Lily felt his nervousness through the bond. Not for himself, for her. He was worried about what this public exposure would do to her. She sent a pulse of reassurance through the bond. "Tell the truth. I can handle it." His shoulders relaxed minutely, and he nodded. 3 years ago, Theo began, his voice clear and steady. "The moon goddess blessed me with a mate. Lily was everything I should have wanted, kind, compassionate, strong in ways I was too blind to recognize. But I was afraid. Afraid of the bond, of losing control, of being vulnerable. So I pushed her away." The chamber was silent, every ear straining to hear. 6 months after our bonding, a woman named Kara entered my life. She was beautiful, charming, and everything Lily wasn't safe. She didn't demand vulnerability or honesty or any of the things that terrified me about the mate bond. So I chose her. Again and again, I chose her over my mate. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Theo continued, his voice never wavering. I paraded my affairs openly. I made my mate watch as I disrespected our bond, our vows, everything the moon goddess intended for us. When Lily tried to talk to me, I dismissed her. When she showed me affection, I rejected it. When she needed me, I was in another woman's bed. Your Majesty, one of the council members interrupted, clearly uncomfortable. Perhaps we don't need such specific. Yes, we do, Theo cut him off. Because anything less than the full truth is another betrayal. Another lie. He looked directly at Lily as he spoke. My mate deserves the truth. This kingdom deserves the truth. And I deserve to face the consequences of my actions. He turned back to the council. What I didn't know, what I was too arrogant and self-absorbed to realize, was that Kara was a Blackthorn witch. That she'd been sent specifically to drive a wedge between me and my mate. To weaken the bond so that when the time came, Lily would be vulnerable. Isolated. Easy to take. And she succeeded, Elder Ruth said quietly. Because you let her. Yes, Theo agreed, his voice heavy with self-recrimination. I let her. Every affair, every rejection, every moment I chose pride over love, I was helping them destroy us. And when they came for my mate, when she called me 17 times begging for help, I ignored her. I was with Kara, and I silenced my phone without even looking at who was calling. Gasps echoed through the chamber. Lily felt the weight of dozens of eyes turning to her, but she kept her gaze steady, her head high. By the time I realized what had happened, she was gone. They'd taken her through a portal to the Isle of Echoes. They were going to use our child, the child I didn't even know existed, because I'd never bothered to read the letter she left me for a dark ritual. They were going to kill her. Kill our baby. And it would have been my fault. Completely, entirely my fault. But you saved her, someone called from the crowd. You risked everything. I did the bare minimum, Theo interrupted sharply. I did what I should have been doing all along, protecting my mate. Choosing her. Loving her. One heroic rescue doesn't erase 3 years of systematic emotional abuse. It doesn't undo the trauma I caused. It doesn't make me less guilty. The chamber fell silent again. This wasn't what anyone had expected. They'd expected justifications, excuses, political maneuvering. Not this brutal, unflinching honesty. The moon goddess gave me a second chance, Theo continued. She allowed me to forge a new bond with Lily, one based on choice rather than fate. And I gave up my immortality to do it. Not because I'm noble, but because I finally understood that 1,000 years without her isn't worth a single day with her. He paused, taking a shaky breath. I failed my mate in every way possible. I humiliated her, neglected her, nearly got her killed. And now I'm standing before you asking not for forgiveness. I don't deserve that. I'm asking for the chance to prove I've changed. To show this kingdom that their king learned from his mistakes. That he can be better. That he will be better. Elder Ruth looked to Lily. Luna, Lily, you have requested to testify as well. Do you still wish to speak? Lily stood, her heart pounding. Every eye in the chamber fixed on her. Through the bond, she felt Theo's support, his pride in her courage, his absolute certainty that whatever she said, he would accept it. Yes, she said, her voice stronger than she felt. I wish to speak. She moved to stand beside Theo, not touching, but close enough that the message was clear. They were in this together, even if they weren't together. Everything the Alpha King said is true, Lily began. He did fail me. He did humiliate me. He did nearly get me killed. And for a long time, I blamed myself. I thought if I was prettier, smarter, stronger, if I was just more, he would love me. Would choose me. Her voice grew stronger. But I was wrong. His failures weren't about me. They were about him. About his fear, his pride, his unwillingness to be vulnerable. I could have been perfect, and it wouldn't have mattered. Because he wasn't ready to accept love. She turned to face the council directly. But here's what you need to know about your Alpha King. When it mattered, when our lives hung in the balance, he showed up. He broke himself open, faced his worst demons, gave up everything he valued to save me and our child. The man standing beside me now? He's not the same man who hurt me. And I'm not asking you to forgive him. That's between him and me. I'm asking you to judge him on who he is now, not just who he was. Are you saying you forgive him? Elder Ruth asked gently. Lily hesitated. Through the bond, she felt Theo tense, waiting for her answer. "I'm saying I'm trying," she said honestly. Forgiveness isn't a switch you flip. It's a process. A choice you make every day. Some days I wake up angry. Some days I wake up hopeful. Some days I wake up terrified that if I let him in again, he'll break me all over again. She looked at Theo, her eyes shining with unshed tears. But I also wake up every day feeling him through the bond. Feeling his love, his determination, his absolute commitment to being better. And that's worth something. That's worth trying for. "So you're staying bonded to him," someone called from the crowd. "The bond isn't optional," Lily replied. "The moon goddess forged it. We can't unmake it. But what we do with it, how we honor it or dishonor it, that's our choice. And I choose." She paused, searching for the right words. "I choose to give us a chance. Not because I owe him anything, but because I owe it to myself. To our child. To the possibility that something beautiful can grow from ashes." The chamber erupted in whispers. Half the crowd seemed moved by her words. The other half looked skeptical, like they were waiting for her to come to her senses. Elder Ruth called for order, then addressed them both. "The council will deliberate on what consequences, if any, are appropriate for the Alpha King's actions. But I will say this," she fixed Theo with a stern gaze. "You have been given a gift. A second chance that few receive. If you squander it, if you revert to your old ways, there will be no third chance. Do you understand?" "Yes, Elder," Theo said solemnly. "And Luna Lily," Elder Ruth's expression softened. "This kingdom owes you a debt we can never repay. You held us together when our king was falling apart. You served with grace and dignity despite your personal pain. Whatever you decide about your bonding, know that we stand with you. Always." Lily felt tears spill over at the elder's words. For so long, she'd felt invisible, unimportant. But her people had seen her. Had valued her even when her mate hadn't. "Thank you," she whispered. The inquiry continued for hours, with various witnesses testifying about Kara's infiltration, the rescue mission, the battle on the Isle. But the most important testimony had already been given. The truth. Raw and painful and healing in its honesty. When the session finally ended, Lily found herself exhausted. She started to leave, but Theo's voice stopped her. "Lily, can we talk? Just for a minute." She turned, seeing the hope and fear warring in his expression. "Okay." They walked to a private alcove off the main hall. For a moment, neither spoke. "You didn't have to defend me," Theo finally said. "In there. You could have condemned me, called for my abdication. The council would have supported you." "I know," Lily said. "But that's not what I want." "What do you want?" Lily took a deep breath, then did something she hadn't done in weeks. She reached out and took his hand. Theo froze, staring at their joined hands like he couldn't believe it was real. "I want us to try," Lily said softly. "Really try. Not to rebuild what was that's gone, and we both need to accept that. But to build something new. Something honest and real and based on choice. Are you sure?" Theo's voice was rough with emotion. "I don't want you to feel pressured because of the council or the baby or—" "I'm not," Lily interrupted. "I'm scared. Terrified, actually. But I'm also tired of being angry. Tired of grieving what we could have had. I want to focus on what we could still have. If we both work for it." "I'll work," Theo promised fiercely. "Every day. Every moment. I know," Lily said, squeezing his hand. "I can feel it through the bond. Your commitment. Your love. And Theo? I love you too. I never stopped. Even when I wanted to. Even when it hurt so much I thought it would kill me. I never stopped loving you." The words broke something open in Theo. He pulled her into his arms carefully, giving her every chance to pull away, and when she melted into the embrace instead, he buried his face in her hair and shook with silent sobs. "I'm so sorry," he whispered over and over. "I'm so sorry." "I know," Lily said, her own tears soaking into his shirt. "I know you are." They stood there for a long time, holding each other, feeling the bond pulse between them stronger now, healing, still damaged but mending. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't magically fixed. But it was theirs. And they were choosing it. Together. Finally, Lily pulled back slightly, looking up at him with red-rimmed eyes. I'm not moving back to the palace. Not yet. I need my own space still. But maybe you could come for dinner sometimes? We could talk. Get to know each other again. Like we're starting over. I'd like that, Theo said, his smile trembling but genuine. I'd like that a lot. And Theo? No more grand gestures. No more dramatic sacrifices. Just show up. Be present. Be honest. That's all I need. I can do that, he promised. I will do that. Lily nodded, then stepped back, putting some distance between them again. But she was smiling now, a small, tentative smile that made Theo's heart soar. I should go. Hannah wanted to check on the baby, and I'm exhausted. Of course. Can I walk you back to the cottage? Lily considered for a moment, then nodded. Yes, you can walk me home. They left the palace together, hand in hand, and for the first time in 3 years, it felt right. Not perfect. Not easy. But right. And watching from the palace steps, surrounded by warriors and counselors and curious onlookers, Maya wiped away tears and whispered to Hannah, they're going to make it, aren't they? Hannah smiled, watching her best friend walk away with the mate who'd nearly destroyed her but was now trying desperately to deserve her. I think they might. It won't be easy. It'll take time and work and so much patience. But yes, I think they might actually make it. In the sky above, the moon shone bright and full, and those who were sensitive to such things swore they felt the moon goddess smile. Oh my God, friends, are you crying? Because I'm crying. The turning point. They're trying. Not because it's easy, not because everything's fixed, but because love is a choice. And they're choosing each other. Finally choosing each other. Drop a comment and tell me what you're feeling right now. Are you team reconciliation? Do you believe they can really make it? And if you haven't subscribed yet, this is your moment. Because we're heading into the climax and the resolution, and you do not want to miss what happens next. Hit that button and let's finish this journey together. The next 6 weeks passed like a dream and a trial all at once. Theo came to dinner every Tuesday and Friday, arriving exactly on time with flowers or groceries or books he thought Lily might like. They would cook together awkwardly at first, bumping into each other in the small kitchen, both too aware of the other's presence. But slowly, they found a rhythm. They talked. About everything and nothing. About the kingdom, the baby, their fears and hopes. About the people they'd been and the people they were becoming. Theo told her about the reforms he was implementing, the way he was restructuring the council to give more voice to the lower territories. Lily told him about the school expansion she was planning, the shelter she wanted to build for wolves escaping abusive packs. And sometimes, they didn't talk at all. Just sat together on the couch, Lily's feet in Theo's lap while he rubbed them gently, both of them reading or simply existing in each other's presence. It wasn't perfect. There were hard days when Lily would remember something, a specific betrayal, a particular humiliation, and the walls would slam back up. Days when she couldn't bear to look at him, when the weight of the past was too heavy to carry forward. On those days, Theo would simply hold her while she cried, or give her space if that's what she needed, and never once did he demand she get over it or move on. He understood that healing wasn't linear. That some wounds ached for years before they truly closed. But there were also good days. Days when Lily laughed at something Theo said, real laughter that lit up her whole face. Days when she reached for his hand without thinking. Days when they fell asleep on the couch together and woke up tangled around each other, and for a moment, just a moment, everything felt right. The kingdom watched their slow reconciliation with mixed emotions. Some were moved by the Alpha King's obvious devotion. Others remained skeptical, waiting for him to revert to his old ways. But no one could deny that he'd changed. That the selfish, arrogant king who'd ruled 3 months ago was gone, replaced by a leader who actually cared about his people. And Lily? Lily was blooming. Her pregnancy progressed beautifully, her belly rounding with their growing child. The dullness in her hair and eyes faded, replaced by the vibrant glow she'd had when they first met. She smiled more, laughed more, lived more. But the past wasn't done with them yet. It was a Wednesday night, 2 days before the predicted due date, when everything fell apart again. Lily was alone in the cottage. Theo was at the palace dealing with a territorial dispute when she heard the knock at the door. Assuming it was Hannah with more prenatal vitamins, she opened it without checking. A woman stood there, beautiful, with long dark hair and eyes that glowed faintly red in the darkness. "Hello, Luna," the woman said, her voice like honey and poison. "I believe you knew my sister, Cassandra." Lily's blood turned to ice. "Who?" "My name is Morgana Blackthorn, and I've come to collect what's owed to my family." She raised her hand, and dark magic exploded from her palm. Lily tried to scream, tried to run, but the magic wrapped around her like chains, dragging her down into unconsciousness. The last thing she felt before everything went black was the bond screaming through it with everything she had, hoping Theo would feel it, would come, would save them one more time. "Theo. Help. Please." Theo was in the middle of negotiations when the bond exploded with Lily's terror. He was moving before conscious thought, shifting mid-stride, crashing through the palace window in his wolf form and running faster than he'd ever run in his life toward the cottage. "Lily. Lily, I'm coming. Hold on." But the bond was already fading, her consciousness slipping away. No, not again. He couldn't lose her again. He burst through the cottage door to find it empty. Overturned furniture. Scorch marks on the walls. And that smell, the same smell from the aisle. Dark magic. Blackthorn magic. "And oh," he roared, his human voice emerging from his wolf throat. "Lily." Liam and Ethan crashed through the door behind him, having followed their alpha's panicked sprint from the palace. "What happened?" Liam demanded. "They took her. The Blackthorns took her again." Theo's voice was barely recognizable, twisted with rage and terror. "I can feel her through the bond. She's alive, but fading. We have to find her now." "How?" Ethan asked desperately. "We don't know where." "Yes, we do," came Elder Mara's voice from the doorway. The ancient wolf looked grave, her eyes glowing with power. "There's only one place they could take her. One place where the dark magic is strong enough to complete the ritual without the eclipse." "Where?" Theo snarled. "The Dead City. In the Eastern Wastelands." Elder Mara's expression was bleak. "It's where the original Blackthorn Coven made their stronghold 3 centuries ago. Where they performed their darkest rituals before we banished them. The place is saturated with old magic. Old death. How long do we have?" "Hours. Maybe less." "The child is ready to be born. I can feel it through the pack bonds. If they can deliver the baby in that place, surrounded by that magic, they can harness its power immediately. No need to wait for an eclipse." Theo felt like his chest was caving in. "Then we leave now. Every warrior, every mage, everyone who can fight." "Your Majesty," Liam said carefully. "The Dead City is a week's journey, even at full speed. We can't." "I don't care if it's impossible." Theo roared, his alpha command rolling through the words and forcing every wolf in hearing distance to their knees. "My mate is there. My child is about to be born in a place of death and dark magic. I will tear through dimensions themselves if that's what it takes to reach them." "There is another way," Elder Mara said quietly. "A faster way. But it's dangerous. Potentially fatal." "Tell me." "Portal magic. The same kind the Blackthorns used. I can open a doorway directly to the Dead City. But it requires an enormous amount of power, more than I have alone. It would take the combined life force of at least a dozen strong wolves to sustain it long enough for everyone to get through." "Do it," Theo said without hesitation. "Take what you need from me." "Your Majesty, you might not survive." "I don't care. Open the portal." Within minutes, they'd assembled in the palace courtyard. 50 warriors. 20 mages. Every wolf strong enough to fight and foolish enough to follow their king into almost certain death. Elder Mara stood in the center, drawing intricate symbols in the air with magic that glowed silver and gold. I need 12 volunteers. Alphas or wolves with alpha blood. Your life force will fuel the portal. You might not survive the drain. I'll do it, Theo said immediately. And me, Liam added. And me, Ethan echoed. One by one, 12 wolves stepped forward, including Maya, whose face was set with grim determination. If my sister dies because we were too slow, I'll never forgive myself, she said simply. They formed a circle around Elder Mara, joining hands. The elder began to chant in the old language and power surged through their connection. Theo felt his life force being pulled, drained into the spell, and it hurt God. It hurt, but he held on. Held on and thought of Lily. Of her smile. Of the way she'd looked at him last Friday when he'd brought her chocolate-covered strawberries and she'd laughed, really laughed, and told him he was ridiculous. Of the child he'd never held. Never seen. Never told how much they were loved. He would not let them die. The air in the center of the circle began to tear, reality itself splitting open with a sound like the world screaming. A doorway appeared, swirling darkness shot through with crimson light. Go, Elder Mara commanded. Now, before it collapses. Warriors poured through the portal, followed by mages, healers, everyone who'd come to fight. The drain on the 12 volunteers was immense, Theo's vision going dark at the edges, his legs shaking with the effort of staying upright. Your Majesty, you need to go through. Liam shouted over the roar of the portal. We'll hold it. Not until everyone's through, Theo gasped. Stubborn idiot, Maya muttered, but there was something like respect in her voice. The last warrior disappeared through the portal. Elder Mara released the spell, and the 12 volunteers collapsed. Theo tried to stand, tried to follow his people through, but his body wouldn't cooperate. He'd given too much. Drained himself too far. No. No, I have to get to her. I have to. Hands grabbed him, Liam and Ethan, pulling him up, half carrying him toward the rapidly shrinking portal. Go, Elder Mara shouted. I'll follow. Go. They dove through just as the portal snapped shut behind them. The dead city lived up to its name. Theo had never seen anything so utterly devoid of life. Ancient buildings crumbled into dust. Streets cracked and broken. The sky above was wrong, somehow too dark, too red, like the sun couldn't quite penetrate whatever curse lay over this place. And in the center of it all, rising like a broken fong, stood the Blackthorn Tower. She's there, Theo said, struggling to his feet despite the weakness still coursing through him. Through the bond, he could feel Lily's terror. Her pain. They're hurting her. There. A scream split the air. High and desperate and unmistakably Lily's. Something inside Theo shattered. All the control he'd been carefully building, all the restraint and civilization gone. His wolf took over completely, and the Alpha King became something primal. Something that existed only to protect its mate. He ran. The warriors ran with him, a tide of fur and fangs and righteous fury. Dark creatures emerged from the ruins to stop them, more of those corrupted wolves, along with things that had never been wolves, twisted magical constructs that existed only to kill. But Theo tore through them like they were paper. Nothing would stop him. Nothing could stop him. They reached the tower. The doors were sealed with dark magic, wards that would kill anyone who touched them. Theo didn't care. He slammed into them with all the strength of his wolf form and his alpha will, and the wards shattered, unable to withstand the sheer force of his love and desperation. Inside, a spiral staircase led up. Theo took the stairs 3 at a time, his warriors behind him, following Lily's screams to the top of the tower. They burst into a chamber at the summit, and Theo's heart stopped. Lily was chained to an altar, her body writhing in pain. She was in labor, the baby coming whether she wanted it to or not. And surrounding her were witches, dozens of them, all in black robes, all chanting in that horrible language that made reality twist. At the head of the altar stood Morgana Blackthorn, her hands glowing with dark magic, positioned over Lily's swollen belly. Welcome, Alpha King, she said without turning. You're just in time to watch your child be born. And then watch them die as we harvest their power. Get away from her. Theo roared, charging forward. Magic slammed into him a wall of dark power that sent him crashing into the stone floor. His warriors attacked, engaging the witches in brutal combat. Magic and claws and blood filled the air. But Theo's eyes were only for Lily. She turned her head toward him, tears streaming down her face. Theo, she gasped between contractions. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I should have been more careful. Should have. Don't you dare apologize, he snarled, forcing himself back to his feet and fighting through the magic trying to hold him down. This isn't your fault. None of this is your fault. The baby's coming, she sobbed. I can't stop it. They're going to take. No, they're not, Theo said fiercely. He reached her, his hands wrapping around the chains holding her, and he pulled. The dark magic fought him, burning his hands, but he didn't care. He would not let her give birth alone and terrified on an altar meant for death. The chains broke. Theo gathered Lily into his arms, holding her as another contraction racked her body. I've got you, he whispered. I've got you. You're not alone. You're never alone. How touching, Morgana said coldly. She raised her hand, and every witch in the room turned toward them, magic crackling at their fingertips. But ultimately futile. The child is coming regardless. And when they do, their power is mine. Like hell it is, came Hannah's voice. The healer burst into the chamber, Maya and a dozen more warriors behind her. But Hannah wasn't alone. She'd brought the coven of white witches who served the kingdom. They immediately began countering the blackthorn magic, silver light battling against the darkness. Get her out of here, Hannah commanded, rushing to Lily's side. The baby's crowning. She needs to deliver now, and this place is trying to corrupt the birth. We need clean magic, safe space. The antechamber, one of the white witches said, pointing to a door Theo hadn't noticed. It's shielded. We can hold them off while. Do it, Theo commanded. They moved as one, Theo carrying Lily, Hannah, and the white witches surrounding them protectively, warriors forming a defensive line against the Blackthorn Coven. They made it to the antechamber just as Lily screamed again, her body bearing down with the undeniable urge to push. Put her down here, Hannah directed, gesturing to a clear space on the floor. It wasn't ideal, but it would have to do. Theo lowered Lily gently, kneeling beside her, gripping her hand. I'm here. I'm right here. It hurts, Lily gasped. Theo, it hurts so much. I know, love. I know. But you're so strong. The strongest person I've ever known. You can do this. Outside the antechamber, the battle raged. The sound of magic and combat filtered through the walls. But in that small, protected space, there was only Lily, Theo, Hannah, and the new life fighting to enter the world. Push, Hannah commanded. Push, Lily. Now. Lily bore down, her scream of effort echoing off the stone walls. Theo felt her pain through the bond, felt everything she was enduring, and wished desperately that he could take it from her. Again, Hannah urged. You're doing beautifully. One more big push and the door to the antechamber exploded inward. Morgana stood there, her body radiating dark power, the white witches who'd been protecting them lying unconscious behind her. Did you really think you could hide from me? This is my domain. My magic. And that child, she pointed at Lily, is mine. Never, Theo snarled, shifting into his wolf form and placing himself between Morgana and his mate. How noble, Morgana laughed. But you can't stop this. The child is already marked by our magic. The moment they take their first breath, they belong to the Blackthorn line. Then they'll take their first breath in love, not darkness, came a voice that made everyone freeze. The moon goddess materialized in the center of the chamber, her presence so overwhelming that even Morgana stumbled back. You, the witch hissed. You have no power here. This place rejects your light. Does it? The goddess smiled, and suddenly the dead city didn't seem quite so dead. Light filtered through cracks in the ceiling, silver and pure, pushing back the darkness. I am the moon goddess. I am life and love and the bonds that connect all things. There is nowhere I do not have power. Especially when a child of true mates is being born. She turned to Lily, who was staring in awe despite the pain. Push, child. Bring your baby into a world of light, not shadow. I will protect you. Lily nodded, gripping Theo's fur with one hand and Hannah's hand with the other, and pushed with everything she had left. The head is out. Hannah cried. One more, Lily. One more. Lily screamed, pouring every ounce of strength into that final push. And suddenly the antechamber was filled with the most beautiful sound Theo had ever heard. A baby's cry. Strong and healthy and alive. It's a girl, Hannah sobbed, tears streaming down her face as she lifted the tiny, perfect infant. You have a daughter. Theo shifted back to human form, staring at the small creature in Hannah's arms with wonder. She was beautiful silver hair like her mother, eyes that would probably be gold like his, and a cry that announced to the world that she was here and alive and absolutely not going to be used for anyone's dark ritual. No, Morgana whispered, backing away. No, this isn't she should be the magic should have. Your magic has no hold on a child born in love, the moon goddess said, her voice gentle but implacable. Protected by her parents' bond. Blessed by my power. You have failed, Morgana Blackthorn. Just as your sister failed. Just as your entire bloodline has always failed when faced with true love. I'll kill you. Morgana shrieked, raising her hands to unleash what would surely be a death strike. But Theo was faster. He crossed the distance in a heartbeat, his hand closing around Morgana's throat, his eyes blazing with an alpha's fury. You threatened my mate, he said, his voice deadly calm. You tried to hurt my child. You terrorized my family and my kingdom. And now you're going to pay for it. Wait, the moon goddess said. Theodric, look at her. Really look. Theo focused on Morgana's face and saw it the desperate fear beneath the rage. The grief. The absolute certainty that she had nothing left to lose. Killing her won't bring you peace, the goddess said gently. It will only continue the cycle of violence that has plagued both your peoples for centuries. She tried to kill my family, Theo growled. Yes, and she will face justice for it. But let that justice be mercy. Let it be the chance to choose differently. To break the pattern. The goddess looked at Morgana with infinite compassion. You could be more than your bloodline's hatred. You could choose light instead of darkness. Life instead of death. Morgana stared at the goddess with tears streaming down her face. My sister is dead. My coven is destroyed. I have nothing. You have a choice, the goddess said. You always have a choice. Choose love. Choose redemption. Or choose to die here, in this dead place, having accomplished nothing but proving that your family was right to fear the power of true bonds. For a long moment, Morgana said nothing. Then, slowly, the dark magic surrounding her began to fade. She sagged in Theo's grip, all the fight going out of her. I surrender, she whispered. I surrender. Theo released her, and she collapsed to the floor, weeping. The goddess placed a hand on her head, and silver light surrounded her, not destroying, but transforming, burning away the dark magic that had corrupted her, leaving behind someone who looked younger, softer, unburdened by centuries of inherited hatred. Theodric, the goddess said, turning to him. Go to your mate. To your child. This is what I meant when I chose you for each other. Not the grand gestures or heroic sacrifices. But this. Love manifesting as new life. Hope triumphing over despair. A future born from the ashes of the past. Theo didn't need to be told twice. He rushed to Lily's side, where Hannah had wrapped their daughter in a clean cloth and was helping Lily hold her. She's perfect, Lily whispered, her face glowing despite the exhaustion. Theo, look. She's perfect. Theo knelt beside them, his hand trembling as he reached out to touch his daughter's tiny fingers. She grabbed onto him immediately, her grip surprisingly strong, and something in his chest cracked wide open. She is, he breathed. She's absolutely perfect. Their daughter opened her eyes gold, just like his, and stared at him with the unfocused wonder of a newborn seeing the world for the first time. And in that moment, Theo understood what the moon goddess had been trying to teach him all along. Love wasn't about possession or control or cosmic mandate. It was about this. About showing up. About choosing, every day, to be present and vulnerable and real. About protecting what mattered most, not out of obligation, but out of joy. What should we call her? Lily asked softly. Theo looked at his mate, this woman who'd forgiven him when he didn't deserve it, who'd given him a second chance, who'd just brought their child into the world in the middle of a battle and felt his love for her expand beyond anything he'd thought possible. Hope, he said. Let's call her Hope. Because that's what she is. That's what you both are. My hope. My redemption. My everything. Lily smiled, tears spilling down her cheeks. Hope. I love it. She leaned against him, their daughter cradled between them, and Theo wrapped his arms around them both. His family. His world. The two people he would spend the rest of his mortal life protecting and cherishing and loving with everything he had. Outside, the battle had ended. The Blackthorn witches, seeing their leader defeated and the child they'd hoped to corrupt born into light instead of darkness, had fled. The dead city was finally, truly dead, its dark magic broken by the simple power of a family choosing love. The moon goddess smiled down at them, her form already beginning to fade. Be happy, she whispered. All of you. You've earned it. And then she was gone, leaving only moonlight and the sound of a baby's contented breathing. I'm sobbing. Literally sobbing. They did it. They saved each other, saved their baby, broke the cycle of hatred with love. Hope their perfect, beautiful daughter born from everything they survived together. Comment below if you're crying too, because friends, this is what we've been waiting for. This is the triumph. And we have one more part to wrap everything up, to see them truly happy and healed. If you're not subscribed, this is it. This is your last chance before the finale. Hit that button and let's finish this journey together. 6 months later. The morning sun streamed through the windows of the royal chambers, the same chambers Theo and Lily had once shared when their bond was new and full of promise. But everything was different now. Lily stirred first, waking to the sound of soft cooing from the bassinet beside their bed. She smiled, her heart swelling as it did every single morning, and reached over to lift their daughter into her arms. Hope had grown beautifully in the past 6 months. Her silver hair had thickened into soft curls, and her gold eyes sparkled with intelligence far beyond her age. She was already showing signs of the powerful magic she carried. Sometimes toys would float around her crib, and once, when she'd been particularly upset, she'd made every flower in the palace gardens bloom simultaneously. Good morning, my sweet girl, Lily whispered, kissing Hope's forehead. Did you sleep well? Hope responded with a happy babble, her tiny hands reaching for her mother's face. I heard that, came Theo's sleepy voice from beside her. He rolled over, his hair adorably disheveled, and smiled at the sight of his mate and daughter. Is it breakfast time already? For someone, yes, Lily laughed as Hope made grabby hands toward Theo. I think she wants her daddy. Theo sat up immediately, reaching for Hope with the same wonder and reverence he'd shown since the moment she was born. Come here, princess. Did you give your mama a good night's sleep? She only woke up twice, Lily said, settling back against the pillows with a contented sigh. Which is practically a miracle. She's a miracle, Theo said softly, cradling Hope against his chest. The baby immediately snuggled into him, making those precious little sounds that turned her father into complete mush. Every single day, I look at her and can't believe she's real. That she's ours. Lily watched them together, her mate and their child, and felt a peace she'd never thought possible 6 months ago. The journey to get here had been long and painful, but it had been worth it. Every tear, every moment of doubt, every hard conversation, all of it had led to this. To mornings filled with baby giggles and sleepy kisses. To a mate who woke up every day and chose her. To a family built on choice and trust and love that had been tested and proven true. What are you thinking about? Theo asked, noticing the way she was watching them. Just how far we've come, Lily said honestly. How different everything is now. Theo's expression grew serious. He shifted Hope to one arm and reached for Lily's hand with the other. Do you ever regret it? Giving me another chance? It was a question he asked sometimes, usually in quiet moments when his old insecurities crept back in. And every time, Lily answered the same way. No, she said firmly. Not once. You've proven every single day that you've changed. That you're the man I always believed you could be. I'm still not perfect, Theo said quietly. I still make mistakes. Last week when I forgot about our dinner plans because of that council meeting. You apologized, Lily interrupted. Immediately and sincerely. And then you rescheduled and made it special. That's the difference, Theo. The old you would have made excuses or blamed me for not understanding. The new you takes responsibility and makes it right. That's all I need. I love you, Theo said, his voice thick with emotion. Both of you. More than I have words to express. We love you too, Lily said, leaning over to kiss him softly. Hope squeaked between them, clearly displeased at being squished, and they both laughed. All right, Theo said, pulling back. Someone is demanding breakfast. Should we? A knock at the door interrupted him. Your Majesties? Sorry to disturb, but the council meeting starts in an hour. Theo groaned. Right. The quarterly report. I forgot. No, you didn't, Lily said, climbing out of bed. You've been preparing all week. You're just looking for an excuse to stay in bed with us longer. Can you blame me? Theo asked, watching as she moved around the room, pulling on a robe, already transitioning into Luna mode. 6 months ago, the sight of her preparing for official duties had filled him with guilt, remembering all the times he dismissed her contributions, made her feel small and insignificant. Now it filled him with pride. His mate was an incredible leader, beloved by their people, respected by their allies. And everyone knew it, especially him. Come on, Lily said, scooping Hope out of his arms. Let's get ready. Maya is coming to watch Hope during the meeting, and you know how she gets if we're late. The council chamber was full, every seat occupied by pack representatives, elders, and advisors. The atmosphere was markedly different from 6 months ago. Where once there had been tension and unspoken resentment, now there was, not quite harmony, but something closer to it. Respect. Trust. Hope. Much like their daughter's name, Theo thought as he took his seat at the head of the table, Lily at his right hand as co-ruler, a position he'd officially granted her 3 months ago, much to the council's approval. Let's begin, he said, looking around the table. Elder Ruth, I believe you're presenting the territory reports? The elderly wolf stood, her expression warm as she looked at her king and queen. Indeed, Your Majesty. I'm pleased to report that all territories are stable. Crime rates are down across the board, particularly in the lower districts where the new job training programs have been implemented. The programs Lily designed, Liam added from his position as beta. The success has been remarkable. We've integrated nearly 200 rogues into pack society in the past 6 months alone. Lily smiled, her cheeks flushing slightly at the praise. It's been a team effort. Hannah's medical outreach has been essential, and the education initiatives have transformed the kingdom, Elder Ruth interrupted gently. My dear, you must learn to take credit for your accomplishments. Every program you've touched has flourished. The people don't just respect you, they adore you. They're not wrong, Theo said, his voice soft but carrying. 6 months ago, this kingdom was fractured, damaged by my failures as a leader and a mate. But Lily, he turned to look at her, letting everyone see the love and respect in his eyes. Lily held us together. She still does. Every policy we've implemented, every reform that's working, it started with her vision, her compassion, her refusal to give up on people others had written off. Your Majesty, Lily protested quietly, uncomfortable with the attention. No, Theo said firmly. I spent 3 years making you feel invisible. making everyone believe you were just a figurehead while I played king. I won't do that anymore. You are my equal in every way. And this council, this kingdom needs to know that." Silence fell over the chamber. Then, slowly, Elder Ruth began to clap. Others joined in until the entire council was applauding their Luna, their faces showing genuine appreciation and respect. Lily's eyes shone with tears, but she held her head high. "Thank you," she said softly. "All of you. For giving me the chance to serve. For trusting me even when." She paused, glancing at Theo. "Even when things were difficult. I promise to continue fighting for every wolf in this kingdom. You are my family. All of you. And you are ours, Luna," Elder Ruth said warmly. "Now, shall we continue with the reports?" The meeting proceeded smoothly, each representative presenting their updates. Territory boundaries were discussed, trade agreements finalized, resources allocated to areas in need. It was the boring, necessary work of running a kingdom, but Theo found himself engaged in a way he never had been before. Because this mattered. These people mattered. And he nearly lost everything: his mate, his child, his kingdom, because he'd been too blind to see it. Never again. After the council meeting ended, Theo and Lily found themselves alone in the palace gardens. Maya had taken Hope for a walk, giving them some rare time to themselves. They walked hand in hand through the rose garden, the same place where, 3 years ago, Theo had held court with Kara while Lily watched from a distance, her heart breaking. "Do you ever come here and remember?" Theo asked quietly, voicing the thought that had been plaguing him. "Remember what?" Lily asked, though she clearly knew what he meant. "The pain. All the times I hurt you here. All the moments I chose wrong." Lily was quiet for a moment, staring at the roses. Then she squeezed his hand. "Yes, I remember. But Theo, I also remember the new moments we've made here. Last month when you surprised me with the picnic. 2 weeks ago when we brought Hope and she tried to eat a rose petal. Yesterday when you found me reading here and just sat with me in comfortable silence." She turned to face him, her expression earnest. "The past happened. I can't forget it, and I wouldn't want to. It's part of our story. But it's not the whole story. We're writing new chapters now. Better ones." "You're incredible," Theo said, pulling her close. "Do you know that? After everything I put you through, you still choose to see the good. To focus on the future instead of the past." "I'm not a saint," Lily said with a small laugh. "I have bad days. Days when I remember something and it hurts all over again. Days when I'm scared you'll revert to who you were. And when that happens? When that happens, you show up. You listen. You prove that my fear is unfounded. And slowly, those days get further apart." She reached up to cup his face. "You've kept every promise, Theo. Every single one. And that means everything." Theo kissed her, then soft and gentle and full of the love that had nearly been destroyed, but had somehow survived. When they pulled apart, both of them were smiling. "Oh, I almost forgot," Lily said suddenly. "Hannah wants to know if we're still coming to dinner this weekend. And Maya is insisting we bring Hope because apparently she hasn't seen her niece in forever." "It's been 2 days," Theo said with a laugh. "Try telling Maya that." Lily's expression grew mischievous. "Although, speaking of Maya, did you hear? She's been spending a lot of time with Ethan lately." "My gamma?" Theo's eyebrows shot up. "Really? Really?" "Hannah says they've been on at least 3 dates. Apparently Maya finally forgave him for taking your side during everything." "He didn't take my side," Theo said quietly. "No one did. Everyone knew I was wrong. They just couldn't say it because I was their king." "Well, now you're a king who listens," Lily said. "A king who admits when he's wrong. A king who leads by example rather than by command. That's why they follow you now, not because they have to, but because they want to." Before Theo could respond, they heard familiar cooing. Maya appeared around a hedge, Hope in her arms, the baby reaching excitedly toward her parents. "Someone missed you," Maya said, handing Hope over to Lily. "We tried the gardens, the stables, the kitchens, but she kept fussing until I brought her here. It's like she knew where you were. She probably felt us through the pack bonds, Lily said, cuddling their daughter close. Hannah says her magical sensitivity is off the charts for her age. Takes after her mother, Theo said fondly, running a finger down Hope's soft cheek. Their daughter grabbed it immediately, trying to stuff it in her mouth. Speaking of taking after people, Maya said, her expression growing serious. I heard from the holding cells. Morgana Blackthorn asked to see you both. Theo and Lily exchanged glances. After the battle at the Dead City, Morgana had been brought back to the kingdom to face justice. But rather than execution or banishment, they'd offered her a choice: imprisonment or rehabilitation. Work with the kingdom's white witches to purge the dark magic from her system and learn to use her power for good. She'd chosen rehabilitation. How's she doing? Lily asked. Better, according to the witches. The darkness is almost completely gone. She's been helping develop wards to protect against future dark magic attacks. Maya hesitated. She wants to apologize. To both of you. For everything. Then we should see her, Lily said firmly. Are you sure? Theo asked, concerned. After what she tried to do. I'm sure, Lily interrupted. The moon goddess gave her a chance at redemption. We should honor that. Besides, holding on to anger and resentment? That's not the life I want. Not the example I want to set for Hope. Theo studied his mate, this woman who'd been through hell and somehow emerged with her compassion intact and fell in love with her all over again. All right, he said. Let's go. Morgana looked different. The dark magic that had once radiated from her was gone, replaced by a soft silver glow that marked her as someone being purged and healed by light magic. She was thinner, paler, but her eyes were clear, no longer glowing red, but a natural brown. When Theo and Lily entered her cell, she immediately dropped to her knees. Your Majesties, she whispered. I don't deserve your presence. I don't deserve to breathe the same air as your child. But I needed to tell you, her voice cracked. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Stand up, Lily said gently. Please. Morgana rose slowly, her eyes downcast. I was raised to hate. To believe that power was the only thing that mattered. That love made you weak. My sister died believing that, and I nearly did too. She looked up, tears streaming down her face. But I saw you. Saw the Alpha King give up immortality for his mate. Saw the Luna forgive when she had every right to hate. Saw both of you choose love even when it was hard, even when it hurt. And I realized everything I'd been taught was a lie. What will you do? Theo asked. When your rehabilitation is complete? I don't know, Morgana admitted. The witches have offered to let me join their coven. To use my power to protect instead of destroy. But I understand if you'd prefer I leave the kingdom entirely. After what I did. Stay, Lily said, and both Theo and Morgana looked at her in surprise. Stay and help protect this kingdom. Help make sure no other child is ever threatened the way Hope was. Turn your family's legacy of darkness into a legacy of light. You would trust me? Morgana whispered. After everything? Trust is earned, Lily said. But everyone deserves the chance to earn it. You've been working hard on your rehabilitation. The witches speak highly of your progress. So yes, I think you should stay. Prove that the Blackthorn name can mean something different. Something better. Morgana sobbed, dropping to her knees again. Thank you. Thank you. I swear I will spend the rest of my life proving worthy of this gift. Then start by standing up, Theo said, but his voice was kind. You're not a servant. You're a person who made terrible choices and is now making better ones. Own that. Stand tall in it. Morgana stood, wiping her tears, and for the first time since they'd entered, she smiled. I will. I promise. 2 years later. The palace gardens were transformed for the celebration, flowers in every color imaginable, tables laden with food, hundreds of wolves from every territory gathered to celebrate Hope's 2nd birthday. The little princess toddled around the garden, her silver curls bouncing, her gold eyes sparkling with delight as pack members presented her with gifts and treats. She was already showing signs of alpha authority when she wanted something. She had a way of tilting her head and smiling that made even the toughest warriors melt. She's going to be trouble, Maya observed, watching her niece charm another gift out of a visiting alpha. You two are in so much trouble when she gets older. We know, Lily laughed, one hand resting on her rounded belly. She was 5 months pregnant with their second child, a boy this time, according to Hannah. But we wouldn't have it any other way. How are you feeling? Hannah asked, appearing with a plate of food. You barely ate at breakfast. Morning sickness that lasts all day, Lily sighed. But it's worth it. It better be, Maya teased. Because that's my nephew in there, and he's already giving his mother grief. He takes after his father, Lily said, shooting Theo a playful look where he stood nearby, talking with Liam and Ethan. Theo caught her gaze and winked, excusing himself from the conversation to join his mate. Talking about me? Always, Lily said, leaning into him as he wrapped an arm around her waist. Hope is having the time of her life. They watched their daughter together, this perfect, beautiful child who represented everything they'd fought for. Everything they'd nearly lost. Do you ever think about how different things could have been? Theo asked quietly. Sometimes, Lily admitted. But then I look at her, at you, at this life we've built, and I think, maybe we needed to go through the darkness to appreciate the light. Maybe we needed to almost lose everything to understand what really matters. I would have preferred learning that lesson without putting you through hell, Theo said, his voice rough with old guilt. I know, Lily said, squeezing his hand. But Theo, you have to forgive yourself eventually. I've forgiven you. Hope adores you. This whole kingdom respects and loves you. The only person still punishing you is you. I don't know how to stop, he admitted. Every time I look at you, I remember. Then look at me and remember this instead, Lily interrupted, turning to face him fully. Remember that I chose you. Not because I had to, not because of some cosmic mandate, but because I genuinely, truly want to spend my life with you. Remember that we're happy. That we're building a family. That we survived the worst and came out stronger. You're right, Theo said softly. You're always right. Not always, Lily laughed. But definitely about this. Hope noticed them talking and came running over, her tiny legs pumping with determination. Mama. Dada. Look. She held up a wooden wolf figurine that someone had given her. That's beautiful, sweetheart, Lily said, crouching down to her daughter's level. What do you say? Thank you. Hope chirped, then threw her arms around both her parents in an enthusiastic hug. Theo gathered both his mate and his daughter into his arms, feeling his heart swell with a love so intense it was almost painful. This was everything. This moment, this family, this life they'd built from the ruins of their mistakes. I love you both so much, he whispered. We love you too, Lily said, kissing his cheek. Always. 5 years later. The coronation ceremony was magnificent, every tradition honored, every ritual performed with perfect precision. But it wasn't Theo or Lily being crowned. It was their daughter. At 7 years old, Hope was being formally recognized as crown princess and heir to the throne. She stood at the front of the great hall, dressed in silver and gold, her posture perfect despite her young age, her eyes serious as she recited the oaths that would bind her to the kingdom's service. I, Hope Lily Theodora, promise to serve this kingdom with courage, compassion, and wisdom, she said, her voice clear and strong. To protect the weak, to uphold justice, and to lead with love rather than fear. This I swear before the moon goddess and all witnesses here. Elder Ruth, now ancient, but still sharp, placed a small crown on Hope's head. Rise, Crown Princess Hope. May you always walk in light. Hope rose, turned to face the assembled crowd, and smiled bright and genuine and absolutely radiant. The hall erupted in cheers. From the royal dais, Theo watched his daughter with pride so fierce it made his throat tight. Beside him, Lily dabbed at her eyes with a handkerchief, trying not to cry. Our baby is growing up, she whispered. She is, Theo agreed. And she's going to be an incredible queen someday. Better than we were, Lily said. Without question, Theo laughed. She already is. They watched Hope accept congratulations from pack members, her younger brother 5-year-old Lucas bouncing excitedly beside her. He adored his older sister, following her everywhere, insisting he would be her beta when she took the throne. "Your Majesties," a familiar voice said. They turned to see Morgana, now fully integrated into the kingdom as head of magical defense. She'd kept her promise, spending the past 7 years proving her redemption through service and dedication. The princess performed beautifully. She did, Lily agreed warmly. Thank you for the protective enchantments you placed on the crown. I know she'll be safer because of them. It's my honor, Morgana said sincerely. Everything I have, everything I am now I owe to your mercy. Protecting your children is the least I can do. As Morgana moved away to join the celebration, Theo pulled Lily close. Do you remember what Elder Mara said? 7 years ago, after we brought Hope home from the dead city. She said a lot of things, Lily said with a smile. She said that love wasn't about grand gestures or heroic sacrifices. It was about showing up. Choosing each other. Every single day. Theo turned Lily to face him, his hands gentle on her waist. 7 years later, and I'm still choosing you. Every morning. Every moment. Every breath. I know, Lily said, her eyes shining. I feel it through the bond. Through every action. Through the way you love our children, lead our kingdom, and show up for me even when it's hard. It's never hard, Theo protested. Loving you is the easiest thing I've ever done. Liar, Lily laughed. Last week when I made you sit through that 5-hour trade negotiation. Okay, that was hard, Theo admitted with a grin. But worth it. Because it mattered to you. And that's why I love you, Lily said, kissing him softly. Because you've learned what really matters. And you protect it fiercely. They stood there together, watching their children laugh and play, watching their kingdom celebrate, feeling the bonds that connected them, all pack bonds, family bonds, the mate bond that had survived everything fate had thrown at it. Thank you, Theo said suddenly. For what? For not giving up on me. For giving me a second chance when I didn't deserve it. For believing I could be better even when I didn't believe it myself. Theo's voice was thick with emotion. I would have lost everything if not for you. My kingdom. My children. My soul. You saved me, Lily. No, Lily said firmly. We saved each other. That's what true mates do. Not because the moon goddess says so, but because we choose to. Every single day. Every single day, Theo echoed, pulling her close. From across the hall, Hope caught sight of her parents embracing and smiled. She'd heard the stories about the darkness before she was born, about how her father had almost lost her mother, about the journey that led to her existence. And she understood, with the wisdom of a child touched by divine magic, that she was more than just their daughter. She was their hope, their redemption, living proof that love could survive anything. And someday, when she was queen, she would remember that. Would lead with the same compassion and forgiveness her mother had shown. Would be strong like her father had learned to be. Would understand that true power came not from dominance or fear, but from the courage to love completely and the strength to change when you were wrong. But that was for the future. Today, she was just a 7-year-old girl wearing a crown too big for her head, surrounded by family who adored her, in a kingdom that had been saved by love. And that was more than enough. 15 years later. The council chamber had changed little in the past 15 years. The same oak table, the same ancient tapestries on the walls. But the people sitting around it were different. Older. Wiser. Grayer in Theo's case, though Lily insisted the silver in his hair made him distinguished. The Eastern Territories have formally requested increased trade access, Liam reported, his own face now lined with age. They're willing to offer. Wait, Theo interrupted, glancing at the door. We're missing someone. As if summoned, the door opened, and Hope strode in, no longer a child, but a young woman of 22, poised and confident, every inch the future queen. Behind her came Lucas, now 17 and already showing signs of becoming a formidable warrior. Apologies for the delay, Hope said, taking her seat at the table. There was a situation with the refugees from the northern packs. They needed. She spent 2 hours finding housing for them, Lucas interrupted fondly. And personally ensured they had food and medical care. We're not late because of some crisis. We're late because my sister can't walk past someone in need without stopping to help. That sounds familiar, Maya said with a knowing look at Lily. All right, Hope said, her cheeks flushing. Can we get back to business? The Eastern Territories? The meeting continued, but Theo found himself watching his daughter more than listening to the reports. She'd grown into everything he and Lily had hoped she would be: strong, compassionate, intelligent, with her mother's heart and his determination. She would be a far better ruler than he'd ever been. The thought didn't fill him with jealousy or resentment. It filled him with pride. When the meeting ended, Hope lingered as the others filed out. Father, can I talk to you and Mother for a moment? Of course, Lily said, sensing something important in their daughter's tone. Once they were alone, Hope took a deep breath. I've been thinking about the succession. I know traditionally the heir doesn't take the throne until the ruling monarchs are, well, gone. But I was wondering if perhaps we could do things differently. How so? Theo asked. Carol. For a few years. Let me learn from you both while you're still here to guide me. Then, when you're ready, when you feel I'm ready, I'll take over fully, and you can. She smiled. Actually rest. Enjoy your grandchildren when Lucas and I eventually have families of our own. Travel. Be together without the weight of the kingdom on your shoulders. Theo and Lily exchanged glances, an entire conversation happening in the look they shared. We'd like that, Lily said softly. We'd like that very much. Really? Hope's face lit up. Really, Theo confirmed. You're more than ready, Hope. You have been for years. We'd be honored to co-rule with you. To see you lead this kingdom into its next chapter. Hope hugged them both fiercely. Thank you. For everything. For the example you set. For showing me what real leadership looks like. What real love looks like. We're proud of you, Lily said, stroking her daughter's hair. So incredibly proud. We should celebrate, Hope said, pulling back with a grin. I'll tell Lucas, and we can have dinner together as a family. Maybe invite Maya and Ethan. They've been wanting to announce something, and I suspect I know what it is. Maya and Ethan? Theo raised an eyebrow. They're getting bonded, Hope said matter-of-factly. Finally. After 15 years of dancing around each other. As Hope left to make arrangements, Theo pulled Lily into his arms. Our daughter is going to be queen. She is, Lily agreed. And we get to watch it happen. Get to guide her. And then, eventually, we get to just be. Just be, Theo repeated, liking the sound of it. You and me. No kingdom to run. No crises to manage. Just us. Sounds perfect, Lily said, kissing him softly. Though knowing us, we'll probably spend that time volunteering, helping with the grandchildren, driving Hope crazy with unsolicited advice. Absolutely, Theo laughed. But we'll do it together. The way we do everything now. They stood in the council chamber, holding each other, the afternoon sun casting golden light through the windows. 22 years had passed since that terrible night when Theo had ignored Lily's calls. 22 years of learning and growing and choosing love every single day. The journey hadn't been easy. They still had difficult conversations sometimes, moments when old wounds ached. But they'd built something real and lasting from the ashes of their mistakes. A love that wasn't perfect, but was genuine. Honest. Theirs. And that was worth everything. 25 years later. The cottage by the lake was small, but comfortable, exactly what Theo and Lily needed in their twilight years. They'd officially retired from ruling 5 years ago, passing the throne to Hope, who'd proven to be even more beloved than they could have imagined. Now, they spent their days in peaceful simplicity, tending the garden, reading, walking by the lake, visiting their children and grandchildren. Hope had 2 daughters and a son. Lucas had twin boys who were absolute terrors in the best way possible. Theo's mortal body was showing its age now. His hair was completely silver, his face lined with decades of laughter and love. His movements were slower, his stamina not what it once was. But his love for Lily? That had only grown stronger. She sat beside him now on the porch, her own silver hair shining in the sunset, her hand warm in his. They watched the sun paint the sky in shades of gold and pink, listened to the peaceful sounds of the lake, felt the bond between them still strong, still steady after all these years. "Do you have any regrets?" Lily asked suddenly. It was a question they'd asked each other periodically over the years. And Theo's answer was always the same. "Only one," he said. "I regret the years I wasted not loving you the way you deserved. But everything after." He squeezed her hand. "No regrets." "None at all? Not even giving up immortality?" Lily asked softly. "Especially not that," Theo said firmly. 1,000 years without you would be torture. But 50 years with you? Best decision I ever made." 47, Lily corrected with a smile. "We've been together for 47 years since that day on the Isle." 47 years, Theo marveled. Feels like a lifetime and a moment all at once. "We should have more time," Lily said, a tremor in her voice. "We should have." "We have exactly as much time as we're meant to have," Theo interrupted gently. "And Lily? I'd rather have 47 years of truly loving you than 1,000 years of taking you for granted. Quality over quantity, remember." "I know," Lily said, wiping away tears. "I just wish." "Don't wish," Theo said, pulling her close. "Be here. Now. With me. That's all we've ever needed. Just to be here together." They sat in silence as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the world in shades of twilight. Through the bond, they felt each other's love pure and unconditional, tested by fire and proven true. "Theo?" Lily whispered. "Yes, love. Thank you. For choosing me. Every day. For the rest of your life." "Thank you for letting me," Theo said, kissing her forehead. "For giving me the chance to be the man you always deserved." As darkness fell and stars began to appear, they remained on the porch, holding each other, two souls who'd been broken and healed, lost and found, destroyed and remade. And when, years later, Theo finally took his last breath old and content, surrounded by his children and grandchildren, his mate's hand in his final thought was simple. Worth it. Every moment. Every breath. Every choice that led me to her. Worth it. And somewhere, in the space between stars and moonlight, the moon goddess smiled. Because that's what she'd always intended. Not a perfect love, but a real one. A love built on choice and forgiveness and the courage to change. A love that lasted a lifetime. And that's the end of their story, beautiful souls. From that terrible night when everything almost ended, to a lifetime of choosing each other, building a family, and proving that love, real love, isn't about perfection. It's about showing up. About changing. About fighting for what matters. Theo and Lily gave us everything: pain, hope, redemption, and a happily ever after they earned. I hope this story touched your heart the way it touched mine. If it did, please drop a comment below sharing your favorite moment, your biggest emotional reaction, anything this journey made you feel. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel because there are so many more stories to tell. Stories of love and redemption, of second chances and hard-won happiness. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking this journey with me. And remember, it's never too late to choose love. It's never too late to change. It's never too late to fight for what truly matters. Until next time, friends. Keep choosing love. Keep choosing hope. Keep believing in second chances. Because sometimes, the best love stories are the ones that almost didn't happen at all.